Morning.
Well, good morning. We are alive.
I see that.
Hope your Friday went well and your weekend.
We'll find out if my Friday went well sometime between Friday and Tuesday of next week. But I have a new caregiver, and that makes me happy. Wife is here, mom is gone.
Gotcha. I was thinking, wait, is there someone besides mom and wife?
Jake, actually, in a couple of weeks. I may break all the rules and go see FGCU and USF baseball.
God, I would. They're both off to phenomenal starts.
Yeah, it's just me being in. I'm not supposed to be in crowds, so it's trying to figure out whether I can find a place down the right or left field line where there aren't people. That's all.
Hell, I could reach out to Toe. He could put you in the on deck circle.
Mm-hmm. 20 seconds. Kind of what I was thinking, Paula. All right, here we go. As long as this works.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Monday in March, which means there is plenty of madness on the horizon. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Hope you had a great weekend. We always thank you for beginning your week with us, Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Good morning, Mark. How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. All in all, it was it's kind of Groundhog's Day around here. Not much different other than doing the show Monday through Friday. Same room, same people, same thing. But got to see my daughter over the weekend, which was terrific. Spent a couple hours with her. And other than that, watched a lot of sports. Watched some hockey on Saturday, watched a little bit of hoop on both Saturday and Sunday, along with the golf. And then, David, I did it last night. I watched a little baseball. It made me fall asleep, but I watched a little baseball.
Well, but I'm glad you found it. I mean, the players was over with. The brackets had been determined. And I'm like, he should be into this. This is the semis, World Baseball Classic, U.S. and the Dominican Republic. And come on now. There's some good stuff. Terrific lineups on both sides. My goodness. Would love a best of 7 of this. And the U.S. ended up winning. Did you see? I mean, the offensive explosion was 2 home runs in the top of the 4th. Were you awake for the top of the 4th?
I didn't have it on in the top of the 4th. I didn't turn it on until much later.
Gotcha.
The wife is now my caregiver, so we have gotten into Ted Lasso. I know we're 4 years behind the times, but that's the beauty of watching shows. You can watch whenever the hell you want.
Exactly.
So we watched 3 shows to finish season 1 last night, and then she went to bed, and I said, this baseball game's still on. Let me check it out. And I watched 7, 8, and 9.
Okay.
So I saw a lot of strikeouts and some big strikeouts and some emotion and, a lot of good stuff. And I had seen, while I was watching the show with my wife, I was kind of monitoring X, and, that Bobby Witt Jr. is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and the Mets are going to move him to 3rd, which is funny because he might be the best defensive shortstop in the game. My goodness, making plays all over the place. Man, he is the left side of the infield.
Yes, he is.
My goodness. Just like, I mean, Francisco Lindor is a really good shortstop, but I
But he
don't
ain't
know,
Bobby
man.
Witt, man. I'm telling you,
Oh,
that guy, that double play that he made, his
yep.
range to just make a routine, pop up seem easy. I mean, that guy can play.
Now, I mean, they're paying him $42 million to move to third. I mean, they're not insulting him, if you know what I mean. I mean, they are encouraging him to move to third, but damn, I don't know. Might have to move Lindor to second at some point. Whoo, wee. But
Are you elongating his career though by playing him at third instead of short?
who Witt?
Yeah,
He's in his mid-20s.
I
I'm not worried about elongating his career
I know
now.
I know you're not, and I know Mets fans don't care, and I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, isn't it easier for him to play third than it is short? That's all.
Oh, Mark, I think this is just they struck out on like 4 bats they were trying to get, and they had to offer Witt. He was about to sign with Philly, and so they came over the top, offered him far more than anybody else, but then said, "I got some bad news. You're going to have to play third."
All right. No, I get all of that. I'm merely asking you a question about, is it easier to play third than short in your opinion on the
Easier?
body?
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
all I'm
Yeah.
asking. I'm
Yeah.
not getting into the details. I'm just merely asking a baseball
Yeah.
question.
But I just think and this is going back 20 years, but it's like when the Yankees got A-Rod. And at the time, of course, he wasn't going to play short. They had this Jeter guy. Okay. But we all looked around and went, you're putting the better shortstop at third. So anyway. But yeah, Machado moved to third, and it's certainly elongated his career.
That's all I was asking.
So, all right. By the way, I'm getting
Yeah, I'm like, he plays with the Royals, but I'm just
I got him
it's early.
confused. I'm sorry, Bichette and Witt. My bad. It's early. Just cut me some slack. But yes, thank God he still plays for the Royals. It's phenomenal. Top 3 in the MVP 2 years in a row. But Miller and Moulton. Well, not a lot of suspense. Okay, heading into Sunday. I mean, basically, all the bracketologists had it figured out late Saturday night.
Well, that depends on what team you pay attention to, because for me, there was a lot of suspense on Sunday, and it all had to do with the team in the backyard of where I'm staying. Because if they didn't win, they weren't in. And I'm talking about South Florida. I mean, they had to win yesterday to get into the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the game I was watching. I wasn't watching Michigan, Purdue. I wasn't watching the players. Up until South Florida got a very comfortable lead in the second half, I was watching Wichita State and South Florida. And I've not watched a lot of South Florida this year. They've played really well, but you gotta find them to watch them. This is the American after all. They bury them on, I don't even know where they bury them half the time. ESPN Plus, ESPNU, CBS Sports Network. I don't know where the hell they are.
Neither does the commissioner of the American.
So I was very happy to see them win.
Yes.
And then I was very disappointed to see who they were playing in the tournament, because they got there were 2 teams that I was paying a little bit of attention to, because it had been brought to our attention that one of these teams was a pretty good, mid-low major, whatever you want to call them, High Point. Well, they get Wisconsin. Okay, well, if Wisconsin starts shooting, they're beating everybody. I mean, they damn near beat Michigan again in what was a terrific game in the Big Ten tournament. Terrific game. And South Florida ends up with Louisville. It's a tough matchup. But I'll tell you what, South Florida, they played a guy that could shoot yesterday, and they shut him down for the most part. They can play defense. So was looking at a couple of things. I know you get into, David, who has shots here in the tournament. And there's 8 double-digit seeds who pulled off upsets the last time they were in the tournament. South Florida's one of those teams. So I am interested in the couple games, couple bracket games. I go, all right, let's see what happens here, because South Florida can play defense, and when you play stifling defense, you can beat teams, you can catch a team, but there shouldn't be a lot of upsets. We've been telling you that for a month, and that's why I was kind of looking through the brackets, going, where are we going to get one? Where is there potential for an upset? And I don't think Troy can get it done against Nebraska. Go Cornhuskers. Can you win your first tournament game?
And another, what we thought would be really good 12, 13, 14 managed to screw it up yesterday. Yale. Mark, this just in. They're in the Ivy League. Okay, do we have to explain to the folks at Yale, 3-point lead, 5 seconds to go. The other team is inbounding the ball 94 feet away. Mark, what do? You
foul.
Thank you.
You foul.
This isn't complicated, right?
There was a long time that I'm like, well, you can just play defense. No, you don't. You're a moron if you just play defense. I'm sorry. Don't care what coach you are. Don't care who you are. You foul them before they get across half court, so you don't take the chance of them shooting the ball and getting 3 free throws.
And sure enough, Yale does it perfectly. They force the guy to the sideline. He's going up the sideline fast, but so what? He's at the sideline. And he crosses midcourt at 3 seconds. Yeah, it seemed like this would be a good time to foul. He takes one more dribble. Okay, now it'd be a really good time to foul. No, he let him take another dribble, put up one of them Steph Curry 28-footers. Bang! We're going overtime. Penn wins. And so now a 25-win Yale team out as a 12 or a 13 that maybe could have pulled an upset. But I was first riveted to the A10 final because I thought there was a chance. We found out afterwards that the committee chairman said if VCU had lost, the A10 was not getting 3 bids. It was going to be St. Louis, and it was going to be whoever won the A10 title game, and it was between VCU and Dayton. But there were a lot of people that thought VCU was in.
They did, and VCU got them pretty early, had them up early, had a pretty good arm bar on Dayton. So I'm with you. I had it on, but that game went pretty one-sided pretty early.
No doubt. But I thought that was the last chance for a bid stealer. And you're right, Mark. Okay, the American final, with everybody having lost, you're like, and we talked about it late last week, man, could South Florida get in at large? I mean, if they lost the final close, could they get in at large? This bubble is terrible. Turns out they weren't seriously considered for it. Good thing they won their first conference title since the first Bush administration. Good for them. First bid in years. Great. Great for the Bulls. Man, they're hiring great coaches. Now can they just keep them?
No doubt. And boy, I like this guy. I mean, obviously, their last coach was doing an amazing job, and it was just horrible to see what happened to him. Tragic death, way too young. But this guy, the end, I don't know if you were watching it, the end of the first half, somehow Wichita State's got 6 players on the court. I mean, this isn't hockey. You don't make changes on the fly. I don't know how this happened. And he sees it, and he's going nuts. And they don't call it. Now he gets a steal. They go down, get a dunk, and Wichita State bangs a long 3 to end the first half. But they're doing the, halftime interview, and he's ready to bite the microphone off. It was fantastic.
Yep. Ryan Hodgson, all right, the coach of South Florida, who they think is going to be the coach of Syracuse here very soon. But we'll get to that a little bit later on. Thanks for waking up with us, Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I had it off by then, Mr. Spivey, but yeah, I put it on early. I was mid-major guy yesterday during the day. I put a little bit of Purdue on against Michigan because, well, Michigan was losing. Before yesterday, I had heard of one motion picture named for Best Picture. I didn't watch a second of it, but I had heard of one, and then I saw the Tucker Carlson bit on SNL, which he mentioned Sinners. So then I had heard of two.
I watched the first half hour.
I know who 4 of the 5 actors are nominated for Best Actor. I know who 2 of the actresses are. 1 of the Best Supporting Actors, the guy who happened to win it. 0 of the Best Supporting Actresses.
Which was the first award they gave away.
My guess is no, AJC. Rick, I don't know if you saw that. Are they going to be doing the golf show on Sunday mornings anymore?
It's on temporary hiatus until we are moved into a new studio, which is TBD. So hopefully.
Oh, they're going to give you a studio where actually you can do a talk show?
Where we can actually even move or turn around. Yeah. So that's the plan. That's what we've heard. So, but we're waiting. We'll see.
I got the over.
Me too.
I've not watched the Reiner clip yet. I saw some of the Diane Keaton clip, which was really good.
I didn't see that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. The full field is set. Both the men and the women. 68 on the men's side. I think it's still 64 on the women's side. No real surprises. No real surprises. All the bracketologists got the last teams right. A lot of
now you could argue for days as to whether or not they got them right because of the system that is put in place. But based on all of the metrics and how they do it now, and the fact that the big conferences only play other big conferences and refuse to play any quote unquote mid majors, that it puts mid majors at a severe disadvantage to make this tournament. And the mid majors, we talked about this. Jason Carmelo will join us again on the show. He had a terrific idea a couple of weeks ago. They need to talk to one another. They need to figure out how to schedule better with one another, because without the quad one games, they have no shot in this tournament. And for those of us that want to see, the Daytons get in, or New Mexico, or any of these teams that have ended up on the short side over the past couple of years, I hate to say this because it shouldn't be, but it's now on them. They now know the system is stacked against them. The only way to fix it is to give yourselves better opportunities by playing better teams that are essentially at your level. And they've got to figure out a way, whether it's late in the season, early in the season, whatever the case may be, for the A10s to take on the American teams. Now that the West Coast Conference, the Pac-12 is not going to get games. The new Pac-12 is not going to get games against the Power Four. They're going to have to join up in this system, if you will, David. The Mountain West will have to join up in this system. It is on them, and it is also then on them to find the quote-unquote low majors that are good and try their best to schedule those teams so that Miami of Ohio, who barely made the tournament by losing in their conference tournament game in the early part of it, that they are playing better teams throughout the season. This is going to be on the coaches and ADs because the system is stacked against them, but they can figure out ways to give their teams the best shot.
They're going to have to create scheduling flexibility because, like in Miami of Ohio's case, they scheduled 2 small to mid-major programs who the year before were very good, but they weren't very good this year. So Miami of Ohio thought they were going to get a bit of a scheduling bump by playing these schools, and it turns out these schools went in the tank, and it hurt Miami of Ohio's case. But yes, mid to late February, some conferences are going to have to not schedule conference games and work out arrangements with other conferences in which it's like, okay, we're going to leave it open. We're going to see who's good. We're going to put good against good. And then we're going to put middle against middle and bad against bad. And that's going to be the 3rd weekend of February. And I hope everybody appreciates what we're doing and why.
David, I need you to take a couple of minutes, and I didn't prepare you for this, but I think you can do it on the fly. I think you can hop the boards and take care of this for me. And more importantly, for the fan base of this school, because something happened over the weekend, which you are very much in favor of happening to a pretty good team that's entering the tournament. And I don't normally support this team outwardly. In fact, I don't know if I ever have. But I talked to a couple of Gators yesterday. Text with one, talked with another, got an email yet from another. They're nervous. They're asking the questions. Did we peak too early? What happened? Because they did not play well against Kentucky and won. And then they played lousy against Vanderbilt and got their doors blown off. Fortunately for them, UConn got drubbed by St. John's and the Gators held on to the 1 seed. So, David, I ask you, as a friend to Gator Nation at this point in your life, to talk the Gator off the ledge, who is worried about the drubbing that they took at the hands of Vanderbilt prior to the tournament beginning. The floor is yours, sir.
Best thing that could have happened to you, Gator fan. Best thing that could have happened. There was no need for you to play all the way through Sunday afternoon. Number one, might as well be done early Saturday afternoon. Been a long season. All right. Extra day of rest can't hurt. Secondly, it's good. You hadn't experienced losing in nearly 2 months. Good. Because now your head coach gets to look at the team and go, you do know our next loss is our last loss, right? Okay. We can't feel like this ever again. I have always been a believer. If you're a big boy, losing in the semis of your conference tournament's the way to go. You're the 1 seed or you got the 2 seed locked up. No need to win your conference championship. Seriously, doesn't matter. Now, I will say, it turns out a couple of the big boys did improve their seeding by going on a conference championship roll. Arkansas played their way all the way up to a 4. Purdue played their way all the way up to a 2. It's the first time we can remember in a while that the conference tournaments mattered, not so much about getting teams in the tournament, but improving one's seeding. Okay. But I actually thought it was the best thing. First off, because Vandy punched the Gators in the mouth, and it caught the Gators by surprise, and they didn't handle it very well. Well, you don't want that happening in the second round of the Sweet 16 of the tournament. So I watched that game, and I thought it was great for the Gators. I really did. They hadn't had that happen in almost 2 months. They needed it. So if I'm again, and not only that, you're playing the first 2 rounds in Tampa. I mean, honestly, this is perfect.
If it would have somehow cost you a 1 seed, David, I could see where the Gator fan would have been upset. They'd have probably still been in Tampa. But if UConn would have won yesterday, it could have cost the Gators a 1 seed. It could have.
Could have.
And I think would have, for what it's worth.
And I'm not sure about that because UConn ended up not the first 2 seed. So that would have been interesting in and of itself. And are you rewarding the conference tournament more than the regular season. It would have been a great market. It actually would have been very telling for us as fans and as media folk. Okay. If UConn had beaten St. John's, would they have given UConn the 1? That would have been interesting to see. But UConn was not the first 2. So who knows?
But I think UConn wasn't the first 2 basically because they lost at the hands of St. John's, and it was another loss on their, another loss on their schedule. But we'll never know. It was a question that wasn't asked. Bruce Pearl was more concerned with why Auburn didn't get in, Miami, Ohio did.
Right. And SMU. I actually thought his argument versus SMU was the better argument. Okay. SMU's resume is pretty thin. And their coach is my favorite coach in the tournament. Okay. But their resume is pretty thin.
And I think I'll be interested to ask Jason later on, was that a precedent type team to not put in because of their record? The number of losses Auburn had. Ultimately, did the committee sit there and say, we can't put a team in that's 2 games above 500?
Yeah, were they 2 or were they 1? Okay. Because, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because of the tournament. Yeah, but I think they were 2, but neither here nor there.
Miller.
Because they won a game in the tournament and they came in just so. But regardless, they didn't get in. And SMU did. I mean, the bubble was bad. We only told you that for a couple of weeks.
Right. Could make for good play-in games, though. And certainly Miami of Ohio in the play-ins probably, remember, it's a TV show. You don't think they put Miami of Ohio in the play-in for any other reason, do you? The starting 5 is next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
PA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Boy, I got to tell you, speaking of people going to the games, it's awesome seeing all those players watching Katie, in and out. But man, oh man, you worry if he's just going to make it to the sidelines alive, for crying out loud. I mean,
I know.
It's great and sad all at the same time, I guess.
Can we put him in a wheelchair, please? Why can't, I mean, please? Even just to transport him, then he can get up and go sit in his seat and whatever. He doesn't, but yeah, I know.
So there's this comedian I'd seen clips of, and my wife and I on Saturday watched her latest Netflix special. Taylor Tomlinson, I think is her name.
Okay.
I think if you watched it with your wife, David, first off, my wife, who's quite religious, and she takes a lot of shots at religion in this, my wife laughed hard. She laughed harder than I did.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty good. Then we chased that with the Bill Burr. We watched back-to-back comedians, and I laughed harder with him because he cracks me up. I mean, his take on the WNBA is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Who's this?
Bill Burr.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
His take on the WNBA is one of the best stand-up things I've ever seen.
Hysterical.
She is funny. Yeah, I didn't even realize she did. It tells you how much television I watch because she mentions it, and I didn't have any idea. Her name, I think I said it right. Taylor Tomlinson is the woman's name. The latest show is called Prodigal Daughter.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know who Derek Stroop is. I'll have to check him out, Javier, because Bill Burr's funny. He's probably my favorite one going right now. I mean, it's easy because when you listen to him, and we're basically the same age, so I can relate. When he starts talking about Fear of Your Father growing up, I was in tears. Yes, Stove Up. Taylor Tomlinson is a lady. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen Madigan a lot.
So there's a guy here who's taking care of his wife, David. He is a Miami guy. He has Dolphin stuff on every. He's a guy I told you that,
Right.
anything's better than Tua.
Right.
He had his U stuff on the other day. And I was cold, and I came down in my U sweatshirt. He gave me one of these and then pointed, because I saw the hat and the shirt. What I didn't realize is he had the Hey Dude U shoes. And he pointed it out to let me know. That made me very happy. Here we go. Yep.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, an hour away from Jason Carmelo. Our final look at the brackets and what matchups he likes for maybe upsets. Somebody going on a run. Joe Henderson, 2 hours from now. He covers South Florida for a living. Lot to talk about with the Bulls. Conference champs for the first time in forever. In the NCAA tournament for the first time in a while. Might be losing another terrific coach, however. Talk to Joe Henderson about all of it coming up. Time now for
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
Brought to you by Lee County, Florida, building a better community through BST, Business, Sports, and Tourism. Business, Sports, and Tourism. The field of 68 is set. Top 4 seeds as expected: Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida. Last at-large berths went to NC State, Texas, and SMU. The committee chair said Miami of Ohio was the 4th to last at-large, even though their metrics made them the last at-large. It's confusing, but the committee chairman said no, they were in, and they were in ahead of NC State, Texas, and SMU. By the way, Oklahoma, Auburn, San Diego State were the first 3 left out. Miami of Ohio given an 11 seed and a play-in spot Wednesday late night against SMU. Canes a 7 seed. What a bad draw they got. They got Missouri in St. Louis. Are you kidding me? You're giving a 10 seed basically a home game? Come on. Seriously? You couldn't do better than that? It's 2 hours. They're busting to the damn game. It's ridiculous. UCF a 10 seed. Friday night, they get 7 seeded UCLA. South Florida 11 seed. Early Thursday afternoon, they'll get Louisville. Nebraska still looking for their first NCAA tournament win. They got a 4 seed. They'll take on 13-seeded Troy early Thursday afternoon.
In a must-win, the really only must-win of the tournament, David. If there's a must-win out there, it is Nebraska. I'm telling you right now, it's the most important game in the first round.
It's the most important basketball game in Nebraska history.
Yes, it is.
Arkansas played their way up to a 4 seed by winning the SEC tournament. Purdue played their way to a 2 seed by winning the Big Ten tournament. Alabama ends up as a 4 seed. They get Speedy Claxton and Hofstra on Friday. Women's tournament, top 4 seeds are UConn, UCLA, Texas, and South Carolina. UConn enters the tournament undefeated. Tennessee was the big mystery. Would they get a bid? They only had 16 wins, although they always play a very tough schedule. They lost their last 7 games of the year. The team is clearly imploding. They were given a 10 seed. The Lady Vols have been in every NCAA tournament since they've been having NCAA tournaments, which is 1982. WBC. Defending champions Japan got ousted in the quarterfinals, leaving the U.S. as the clear favorite. But they had to beat the Dominican Republic last night in Miami. Skeens gave up a run in 4 1/3 innings, and the United States bullpen got 14 outs. And when in the 4th, Gunnar Hendrickson and Roman Anthony hit solo homers, that was all the U.S. needed. 2-1 United States. Junior Caminero did homer for the DR. The U.S. caught a couple of breaks on balls and strikes. Boy, oh boy, did this tournament need the ABS system. In the 9th inning alone, tying run on 3rd, 2 outs, full count to the batter at the plate. Fernando Tatis Jr. in the on-deck circle, a 3-2 slider that is clearly low, and the batter got rung up. Strike 3, game over. Would have been 1st and 3rd, 2 outs, Tatis Jr. at the plate against Mason Miller. The U.S. advances to the final. They'll find out tonight who they'll play. They'll play the winner of unbeaten Italy against Venezuela. Venezuela, the Giant Killers, having taken down Japan in the quarters. Golf Players Championship. Ludwig Oberg blew an opportunity late on Saturday. He had makeable birdie putts on 16 and 17, hadn't 3-putted all tournament, 3-putted 18, only took a 3-shot lead into the final round. It could have easily have been 5 or 6. And so sure enough, he's even par for the day, early on the back 9, back-to-back balls in the water. And Matthew Fitzpatrick and Cameron Young said, we'll take it from here. And they were playing together. Fitzpatrick had a 1-shot lead with 2 to play. Young knocks it stiff on the island 17th, makes a downhill slick right to left birdie putt from 8 feet to tie it. Then hits the best drive that's ever been recorded on the difficult 18th hole, set him up for an easy par. Fitzpatrick drove it in the pine straw, couldn't get up and down from in front of the green, made bogey, and Cameron Young wins the Players' Championship. Fitzpatrick second, Schauffele third. By the way, Bryson DeChambeau over in Singapore won the LIV tournament in a playoff when Richard Lee, who he was in the playoff with, missed a 2-footer to extend the playoff. Ouch.
It has been amazing on the PGA Tour how many guys this year have had big leads heading into Sunday, 3, 4, even 5 shots leads, and have not been able to seal the deal. Winning's hard on that tour. It is. And Oberg said, this isn't, I think prior to the tournament, or at least this is before Sunday, when he gets nervous, he gets quick. He knows what his flaw is when the nerves hit. And on that bad tee shot he hit in the water, and the bad 7-wood he hit in the water, he said, I got quick. I mean, I have to admit, it's one of the few times, David, as an average golfer at best, when you hear a really good player go, yeah, I get quick when I get nervous. Well, what do most of us do when we get nervous on a golf course? We get a little quick. And here's one of the best in the world, got quick and watched his lead fall apart on Sunday.
By the way, a great stat that they had, for whatever reason, the first 20 times that someone had the solo lead after 54 holes in the Players, their closing percentage was 50%. For whatever reason now, heading into yesterday, the last 15 times someone had the solo lead after 54, only 3 of the 15 had closed it out. Make it 3 of 16. Very interesting. NBA, 7 games yesterday. Knicks were down 21, beat the shorthanded Warriors 110-107. They left SGA in the game long enough so he could keep the 20-point streak alive. 20 points, 10 assists. OKC beat Minnesota 116-103. Dallas surprised the Cavs in Cleveland 130-120. Cooper Flagg with 27. Brandon Ingram with 34. The Raptors beat the Pistons, who have lost a little bit of their mojo lately, 119-108. Giannis with 31 points, 14 rebounds, but then he got hurt again. Milwaukee 134-123 over the Pacers. Mark, a very sad stat. Sixers beat Portland without Embiid 109-103. He's been in the league like 10 plus years. He has now missed the exact same number of games that he's played in.
That is a sad stat.
It is sad.
Because when healthy, he's a really, really good player. He's just never been healthy.
Nope. Sacramento beat Utah 116-111. 6 games in the NHL. Panthers went to the Pacific Northwest and the Kraken beat them 6-2. Seattle moved back into the second wildcard spot out west. Ottawa with 3 in the third beat San Jose 7-4. Senators 3 points back for a playoff spot in the East. Anaheim scored late to beat Montreal north of the border 4-3. That puts Anaheim back in first. It also leaves Montreal 2 points behind the Lightning as they battle for second and third in the division. Edmonton got 3 assists from Connor McDavid. Draisaitl hurt, however, after scoring. Edmonton beat Nashville 3-1. Edmonton in third place, but 4 points ahead of Seattle to secure a playoff spot. Toronto doubled up Minnesota with 3 in the second, 4-2. Winnipeg got a goal from Hayden Fleury. Hayden Fleury is a regular player in the NHL and hadn't scored a goal in over 2 years. That's tough to do. Winnipeg beat St. Louis 3-2. Racing, Mark, I do this just for you. Good old boys were in Vegas. Denny Hamlin led more laps than. I'm sorry, what?
I fell asleep quickly. I apologize. Go
No,
on.
I know that. That's why I do this just for you. Good old boys in Vegas. Denny Hamlin led more laps than the whole rest of the field to win. Chase Elliott second, Ross Chastain 17th. Indy cars were in Arlington, Texas. Kyle Kirkwood held off Alex Palou to win, and he's in first in the standings early in the season.
Way to get it done, Kirky.
He's an American. Okay, Kyle Kirkwood. And Kimi Antonelli captured the pole and won the Chinese Grand Prix on the Formula One circuit. They ain't going to race for a while at F1 because they had races lined up in April in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Yeah, there's some stuff going on out there. So they canceled those F1 races. So the next F1 race is in Miami in May. And at 10 minutes before the hour mark, that was the starting five big stories you needed to know, courtesy of Lee County, Florida. They're building a better community with a very simple yet solid plan of business, sports, and tourism. And it's worked for them for 35 years. So
good to see Kirky getting it done.
The funny thing is, you do know I'm going to spend the rest of the show looking up if, in fact, that's what they call them. And they probably do. I mean, what nickname
He doesn't play hockey, so it's not that obvious, David.
I know it would definitely be obvious in hockey, Kyle Kirkwood. But in all seriousness, Kyle Kirkwood. What
could be Kirky, could be Woody.
Could be Woody. It's true. Could be Woody. But I will spend the rest of the show trying to find out Kyle Kirkwood's nickname. That's the IndyCar series for those that really want to know.
I had to laugh. I went and had lunch yesterday, and there's a dining room where I am staying. And there's one television. And it typically floats between CNN and Fox News.
Okay.
And I'm one of the younger people here. So you can imagine the volume of said TV in the dining room.
What'd you say?
Correct. And the TV is very close. There's a little nook for people who have had a bone marrow transplant because we are not supposed to be around a lot of people. So there's a little 3-table nook for those of us that have had a similar thing as to what I have gone through. And it is right by the TV, be it on the side of it. So you can't see the TV, but you can hear the TV.
Can you ever?
And I went down on Saturday to have my, I think, dinner. And simply, there was no one in there at the time. So I grabbed the remote and I put it on the golf. I changed it off of news and put it on golf. And people don't seem to change the TV once it's set. So I'm like, good. But yesterday I went down to have lunch. And I'll be damned, but there was a guy down there watching the Indy race pregame.
Ooh.
And I'm like, good for him. You know, hey, come on. I mean, if that's his thing, that's his thing. And he's in. And I only knew, you know, you could have asked me for the one time ever, David, you said, you know where they raced Indy yesterday? I would have said Arlington, Texas. Because I listened to the pregame. And you know, of course, because of where it was, who was interviewed during the pregame? Jerry Jones. Any opportunity to get in front of a microphone, he will take. But I did get a kick out of it that they even know. We're doing Indy. We're doing it in Arlington. Jerry Jones, book him. We need a little oomph for the pregame.
I thought it would be either Jarrah or Matthew McConaughey.
Not in Austin. They'll use him for the Austin race. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
PA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
At the Diamond District, we have that one-of-a-kind ring that she's been dreaming of.
Whether you're beginning to think about proposing or already have something in mind, we're here to help.
Our sales team listens, educates, and guides you to the perfect engagement ring so you don't have to feel intimidated.
We guarantee that whatever you're looking for, you'll find it here.
So when it's time to pop the big question, come visit us, Jason and Todd, at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ambient, he definitely sits out a lot for load management because he doesn't play back-to-back in any of those things.
Robes, not that anyone cares, but I guess the Bison were the second team out for the women's draw. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm
possibly down to twice a week hospital visits. We'll see.
Well, that would be awesome, obviously.
Yeah. Although I will say, when I go, I know I've got something to do those days.
Hey, Mello, serious question. Have they won the title since 85? I know they've been to many Final Fours, but have they won it? I mean, it's remarkable because the men, had 88 and a couple in the early 90s, and they haven't won it, I don't think, since 83. Well, Johnny, you're always just saying.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. The brackets are set. The Players' Championship is in the books. Got a great next few weeks lined up with the Madness and then the Masters. WBC wrapping up in the next 48 hours. Major League Baseball season a week and a half away from getting started. Great time of the year. Home stretch in basketball and hockey. NFL free agency leading into the draft in about 5 weeks. Got a lot going on. It is awesome. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark, since we asked the questions out loud, okay, we should answer them. IndyCar driver Kyle Kirkwood, okay, has many different nicknames. K squared. The one that you predicted, Woody. 2 Kyle. All right. And apparently he's been kind of a thing for a while because he grew up in Florida in the Jupiter area and he dominated, go-karts and what have you. So he's had many nicknames over the years. K squared, Woody, and 2 Kyle.
Okay, so Kirky, not one of them. I've given him a new one. And I do want to make a error and omission, as they do on PTI, of the starting 5. Didn't have time at the top of the hour. I caught it when it happened. I didn't say anything, but someone pointed it out. And the last thing we want to do on this show is upset the F1 fan. They are a very tough group. The races are canceled in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, not the UAE. That's the last race of the year. Just making that clarification because, David, the last thing I want on this show is to upset the auto racing crowd. I mean, they're a very important part of our demographic. I always have given them the utmost respect on this show.
Always.
And I feel like we did them a disservice, and I just think we owe them a quick reprieve to let them know that we're paying attention. That's all.
And by we, you meant me, since I do the starting five. And that's fair enough. So,
But I'm
okay.
here for you. I'm
Well,
here
thank
for
you.
you, and I didn't help out, and that's on me.
No,
So, I
you
mean,
helped out.
you know how much I love auto racing and particularly F1. So I wanted to make sure we made that clarification.
There's nothing wrong with the first segment of hour 2. We let everybody know, okay, Kyle Kirkwood's nicknames, and then you made the F1 correction. Once again, the racing continues here on Miller and Moulton.
Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. If you knew that who the hell Kyle Kirkwood was before today, let us know. 21,000, the number. If you've never texted the show before, the keyword is Miller to 21,000. We'd love to hear from you.
Poll question. Did you watch the Oscars last night? Oscars, World Baseball Classic, something else?
Wow. Yeah, we can go that route. I was just thinking what you watched the most of again between the players and the college hoop, including the selection show. I wonder how many people, because I didn't watch hardly a second of the selection show. I didn't watch the end of the players. My wife wanted to go out and have dinner. I hadn't seen her in a while. I can follow golf on my phone. And I'm kind of pissed that I missed the end of it for one reason. And it's something I wanted to talk about this morning. Because it seems that there are those out there that are pretty upset with golf crowds. In particular, American golf crowds. Because what did we have in the second to last group? We had an American and we had a Brit. And the crowd in America was, wait for it, rooting for the American.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. In fact, there were chants of USA, USA.
Yes.
And there are people out there, and I saw it on X and I saw it being reposted, calling the fans classless.
Oh.
Now, David, this is where I'm hoping you watched it because I didn't see it live. I did not see anything or hear anything that caused Fitzpatrick to have to back off because he was getting taunted and because this isn't the Ryder Cup. And Fitzpatrick's a pretty likable, in fact, not pretty. Fitzpatrick's a really likable guy.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he looks like a good dude. He looks like a guy you could sit down and have a beer with. I mean, there are others that I'd rather have a beer with that are European than him, but he looks like a very nice young man.
He was very classy afterwards, too. He went over, he congratulated Young's wife and Young's parents. Okay, he was very classy afterwards, Fitzpatrick.
And obviously we saw what he did on 18 with Young. So, I mean, it looked to be very good golf etiquette by both players, but people are upset that the crowd was rooting for the American in Jacksonville, Florida. How dare they?
How dare you, sir?
Because, David, if this were a tournament played in England and the same two players were going down 17 and 18 battling for the title, my guess is, and I could be wrong here, is that the crowd would have been rooting for the other guy.
The other thing, Mark, if you're a knowledgeable golf fan, which I think a lot of people at the final round of the players were, both these gentlemen were on the Ryder Cup teams. Okay, so it was a Ryder Cup duel at the end. Okay, the NBC announcers were joking, not so joking about it. Midway through the back nine, when Oberg puts the two in the water and goes from leading to, wait a minute, we basically have match play here between Fitzpatrick and Young. And oh, yes, one was on the European Ryder Cup team and the other was on the U.S. Ryder Cup team.
Do you mean that the telecast was trying to sell us a story and make it, hang on, Were they making it a TV show, those bastards?
Well, Mark, they spent a day and a half telling us how inflappable Oberg was, so they had to pivot on a dime.
Which is ironic that they were talking about unflappable he was, because he admitted when he gets tight, he gets quick. That when he did that on Sunday, he told us Saturday that's maybe Friday that's what he does.
Also, there's water everywhere on the back nine. If there's honestly, there are not many courses in the world the 3, 4, 5 shot lead is as vulnerable as it is at the TPC Sawgrass, for goodness sakes. There's water everywhere. But listen, Fitzpatrick was asked about it afterwards. And he said, oh, it was nothing like New York. He goes, yeah, did I hear it? Sure, I heard it. He goes, a lot of it was good-natured. He goes, I get it. Okay. I'm European. He's American. We're both Ryder Cuppers. I get it. He goes, but nasty or anything like that? He goes, oh, no. He basically called it good-natured fun. And he said, I get it. I understand. And believe me, it was nothing. He almost laughed. He goes, it was nothing like New York. I think he officially said it was at least 5 times less than New York.
Well, and it's the Players, not the Ryder Cup. I would expect it to be. But, quickly in our Twitch chat room, the 2 people that are commenting think it was over the line.
Oh, stop it. Come on. Can't we have fun anymore?
Not if you're an American. Hell no, David. We have to be better than the rest of the world at everything and have more class. And I don't know when the last time classy American was a phrase that was thrown around regularly.
First off, when did USA become not classy? No,
well, they booed Fitzpatrick.
When? Okay, now you shouldn't boo. Okay, now if he throws a club or he curses at somebody or something, then yeah. Okay, if they did, I missed it, by the way. So, okay, yeah, that is out over the line. All right, they made a mistake. They made one. Does the crowd deserve a mulligan? I mean, you got tens of thousands of people surrounded by a hole. I mean, they screwed up once. Man, we got to lighten up. Seriously, lighten the blank up.
Every tournament's not going to be the Masters, gang. I hate to break it to you.
How miserable are you? It's golf. They picked a side. They wanted to show Cameron Young that they were rooting for him. They were trying to help him win the biggest tournament of his life, by the way. Fitzpatrick's already won the U.S. Open. This would not have been the biggest win of his life. This was the biggest moment of Cameron Young's career. Man.
Then poor Cameron Young in the post presser has to explain to everybody that he was actually happy.
Well, I will say he does. Pet rocks have shown more emotion.
No, and I thought, David, I did something I don't normally do. I watched a little, and this was long over. I'm seeing some stuff, so I'm digging up video, and I thought his answers were terrific. He's like, guys, I'm happy. He goes, do you know how mentally tough that course is? He goes, I'm tired. He goes, I am flat out tired. That course mentally is so challenging. I just played 4 rounds of golf on that golf course, and I'm trying my best to give all of you sincere answers, and I'm exhausted. And I'm listening to your questions, and I'm doing my best to give you honest answers. Trust me, I'm happy.
And he hit arguably the 2 best shots of his career on the 71st and 72nd holes. I mean, Fitzpatrick won up and had the honors on the 17th tee, puts it right in the middle of the green. Young knows he's going to 2-putt. Okay, he's going to have to do something here. Fitzpatrick's probably not going to hand him the tournament, is what he's thinking. So he fires right at that pin on 17.
Which is what you're not supposed to do on 17. The play is where Fitzpatrick put the ball. And because of the situation he was in, he's got to do what you're told not to do there. fire at that pin.
And knocks it to 8 feet and makes the putt and then hits literally what analytically they said was the greatest drive that's ever been hit on the 18th tee.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Diamond District, we have that one-of-a-kind ring that she's been dreaming of.
Whether you're beginning to think about proposing or already have something in mind, we're here to help.
Our sales team listens, educates, and guides you to the perfect engagement ring so you don't have to feel intimidated.
We guarantee that whatever you're looking for, you'll find it here.
So when it's time to pop the big question, come visit us, Jason and Todd, at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I say dismiss. My client cares, but come on, he's a whiner. So he got beat up a little, duct taped, sexually violated. He never should have been over there offering humanitarian aid in the first place. And then what? He expects to be heard, get a trial, a lawyer? He wants the government to show evidence. The American public, the media. We're in a war. We only.
So do you want to go Oscars or WBC or neither?
Or something else. Yeah.
For the record, I think neither's going to win. put up I wrote it down too, so I'll remember which number 1 is most likely to not make the Final Four. We can do later in the week, probably tomorrow. People will spend today kind of looking at the brackets and start filling them out. I know you don't, but I think most do.
By the way, I watched the Bracketology almost to the end because they didn't disclose till the very end if SMU got in. So I wanted to see if it was SMU or Oklahoma or Auburn. And then they were bringing the chairman on, and I wanted to see how he answered certain questions.
I'll tell you what was great was the end of that Dayton St. Louis game.
Oh, yeah.
And the call was terrific.
What if St. Louis had inbounded the ball? I was the big because there was still a second left on the clock, and a St. Louis player and assistant coach had run onto the court, or a Dayton player and assistant coach had run onto the court. And that's what they were talking about. That if
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Jason Carmello in a little more than 15 minutes time. We'll take a look at the bracket. We'll go through it, whether or not he thinks the committee got it right. And also some teams that he thinks, maybe picking these guys when I fill out my bracket. Jason Carmelo in a little more than 15 minutes time. Joe Henderson to talk South Florida. The Bulls, baby. Hold and serve in the American Conference Tournament. They won the regular season by 3 games, won the 2 games they needed to win in the conference tournament. They're conference champions. First time they've been that in 36 years. They're back in the tournament for the first time in, I think, 14 years. Great for them. Awesome. Congratulations. May lose their coach. Might literally be on their 5th coach in 5 years, but we'll deal with that hopefully a couple of weeks down the road.
I feel badly for South Florida just for one silly reason. Their spring break started Friday afternoon. This is their spring break week. So, all those kids play in the tournament and come home, and there'll be no support on campus. And that stinks. I mean, I know a lot of schools have it going on right now, maybe the week before. This is probably one of the last weeks of college spring breaks. But just for lack of a better term, it stinks. It just does. This is when you actually want to go to class on Monday and Tuesday and have the kids give you a little round of applause, have a professor recognize you. It's all part of it. I know, because at the big boys, they're getting paid. And it's not that the South Florida kids don't get paid, but they ain't getting Big Ten money. They ain't getting Kentucky money. So it's just part of it. And they've had a great season, and they've had really good support all year long from their fans.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if they would have been able to get the whole experience, because it's going to be tough for an 11 seed to win 2 games and be able to go to class next week and still be in this sucker. It is. So that was my only, that kind of bummed me out for the Bulls. I'm getting a soft spot for this team. I've been on campus basically now for the last 7 weeks. So every day I'm passing by buildings and things of that nature. I walk the campus, damn near daily. So I'm getting a soft spot. I can tell you this, I'm probably going to send the wife into the shop at the Yuengling Center and get some bowl gear this week, David. I probably will be wearing South Florida Bulls something during their game against Louisville in Buffalo. They play.
I like it.
Thursday or Friday. I don't know which. I've got it all somewhere here in front of me, but even with the announcers. So
Thursday
they're up in
afternoon.
Buffalo.
Thursday afternoon. What's great, quick sidebar. So the head coach for South Florida grew up in that part of America. His dad's been sick for a while. His dad has never seen him coach between Arkansas State and South Florida. Has never in person seen his son as a head coach. First time dad's going to see him is in the NCAA tournament Thursday. Okay.
So we've got a poll question up. That's a great story, by the way. Great. It just is, did you watch the Oscars, World Baseball Classic? Neither.
Huh.
Miller _ Moulton, that Mark Miller, soon to be the David Moulton, if he didn't already do it.
I watched both, for what it's worth. I will say the Oscars starts at 7. I mean, you can, if you're interested, you can get in an hour of it before you turn to whatever it is you normally watch on a Sunday night.
Well, I didn't put both as an option. I want people to pick which, if that's the case, which one did you watch more of?
Right.
I think neither is going to win this poll question for the record.
Probably,
that's my guess.
Although I wonder if people will be honest, Mark, because when we, at the end of the year, the top 100 rated TV shows and 90 of them are sports. Okay. Usually, Mark, the highest rated non-sporting event in this country is either the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade or the Oscars.
Well, and that's if you want to sit with your wife. I mean, let's get right down to it. If you're watching one of those two shows, because I am stuck watching that stupid parade every year, every god-blanking year, I got to watch that stupid parade.
Sorry.
I mean, from Betty Boop to Snoopy to now SpongeBob, for crying out loud. Like, I give a damn about some people lip syncing a song from a Broadway play. It is the worst, absolute worst television show on the planet, bar none, period.
Lip syncing in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade or on Dick Clark.
Well, Dick Clark's a tradition unlike any other. So
so's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Come on now.
When you're 6, so you can see Santa Claus, okay? But the Oscar, I don't go to the movies anymore. I literally looked at the list of now the 74 films that are nominated for Best Picture, because it used to be 5. Now it's 10.
Right.
I looked at it today to see who won, because you got me into the Post, and no publication does a better job of listing the winners than the Post. They list all the nominees and then the winner in bold for every damn category. I can spend 30 seconds and get it all right now. Perfect. That's what I need. Up until I happened to see a clip yesterday morning of SNL when they had a fake Tucker Carlson on talking about the Oscars. And he mentioned the movie Sinners that I had not heard of. That made me I knew the name of 2 of the 10 movies. Didn't see any of them. Had no interest in seeing any of them. The 5 movies we used to all know. I mean, I love David Sampson. I miss him tremendously on this show. We've told you over and over, he's got a lot going on in his life. We'll have him back one day. We will, I promise you. David loves the Oscars. I don't know any human that watches more movies than David Sampson. He, up until what he's had going on with his family, claims to watch a movie every single day. Every day. Good for him. There's a lot of great television shows out there. I don't know how many there may be a bunch of great movies. And maybe it's just I've become lazy like the rest of society that I can only do 30 to 55 minutes of a show before I get bored. And some of these movies now are 3 hours, and I can't fit in the time, nor do I want to.
Well, most of us don't go to the movies anymore. And most of us, if we end up seeing these movies, we end up seeing them. Okay. I mean, I thought Conan had a very funny line last night in his monologue. He welcomed whoever the guy is who's the head guy at Netflix. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very historic moment. This is his first time ever in a theater. Okay. Now, of course, so now, of course, he's sitting here trying to figure out what is everyone doing here. I need you all to go home and watch these movies alone so I can monetize this. But anyway, listen, I haven't seen any of the movies either. But I watch the first 30 minutes of the Oscars. I do. Because usually in the monologue, they'll give me bits and pieces of what some of the movies are. And then, oh, okay. And then I always watch the first award. It's either Best Supporting Actor or Best Supporting Actress. This year it was Actress. Okay. Literally didn't know any of the actresses. Oh, okay. But the oldest one won. She was in her 60s. Everybody else was in their 20s and 30s. And everybody was happy that the old actress who's been around 40 years won her first Oscar. Okay, great. Fine.
But much like and we've talked about this for years on this show. Who are the Olympics for? Well, they're for your wives. The Oscars and the Macy's Day Parade are for your wives.
Yep.
That's who watches. So I get it. If you watched the Oscars last night, you watched the tournament preview, you might have watched the golf. Hell, you might have watched a NASCAR race for all I care. And all of a sudden, 7:30, 7 o'clock came around and the wife wants to see you, not really talk to you. She wants to see you. So she sits down, she puts the Oscars on and she says, honey, you want to watch some television with me? And you know what you do? Because you're not going to, from Thursday at noon until Sunday at 8 o'clock, you're not going to spend an ounce of time with her or your family. So you decided, you know what? I'll be a nice guy and watch the Oscars for a couple of minutes. That's a smart move by you.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
EPA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You know, looking back, I don't know if that was really fair to the Macy's Day Parade. I really beat that up badly.
But Ambient, the selection show, was over before the Oscars. But I get it. No interest in the Oscars. That's fine. It is one of the top-rated TV shows of the year, though. But I give it 20 to 30 minutes every year. I think Empire he meant for lip syncing, but
No. I think in general. And Keeping Up with the Kardashians is a reality show that's on cable. I guess I'm actually talking about real TV shows. I don't consider any of that crap real. I'm sure that people think that it is, but I don't even acknowledge that shows like that exist, Empire. I have to be brutally honest. I don't watch any of them. You could put a gun to my head with $1 million next to me and say, name the network it's on, and I wouldn't have a shot. So you don't, SC there, you don't like the Grammys? I mean, I'm with you on the ESPYs, but you don't like the Grammys either? The Tonys, the Emmys, the Golden Globes, none of them? And I will say, some the big boys get millions, but some of the people that win those, it is their break. Not anything's going to be on regular TV in the future, Johnny, but you're right. Wait till Netflix starts hosting the Oscars.
actually Conan did a bit last night. It was the last thing that I saw. They came back from first commercial break, and he said the word is ABC's not going to have the Oscars much longer. And I think he said it was going to be Amazon. And he starts to say, but listen, nothing's going to change. And he starts to talk, and they break away to Jane Lynch doing an ad for like flashlights. And these were the flashlights we used when we hunted down bin Laden. Okay. And they go back to Conan, and he's trying to keep it together. And he talks about, the occasional blip, but otherwise, and they go back to another thing. I don't know. I was not a Conan fan when he first got his show, but Conan grew on me.
Oh, do we have a guest here?
Do I need to make a call, David, or
No.
Video.
Oh,
Jason.
okay.
Did you send him an up? Did you give him a heads up or no?
I did, but I can do it again.
They boycotted us. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Joe Henderson to talk the South Florida sports scene. And by South Florida, we mean the Bulls of the University of South Florida. Just their fourth NCAA tournament appearance, first conference title in 36 years. We'll talk to Joe Henderson about the Bulls, the American Conference champions, 1 hour from now. Hope to catch up with Jason Carmelo and talk the brackets coming up shortly.
Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is open. 21,000 is the number. If you've never texted the show before, you need to text the keyword Miller to 21,000, and then you can let it rip. Most of you saying you watched the World Baseball Classic, not the Oscars. That's the same thing I did. David watched a little of both. I don't know. I'm guessing he picked the World Baseball Classic because I think he watched a little more of that than he did the Oscars. But we did talk a little golf earlier about Fitzpatrick getting a little grief from the crowd as they were chanting USA, rooting for Cam Young. And most of you saying a couple of things. One, it's good for the sport. Two, people are soft. Guy is making millions. He can handle it. And there was somebody like he was smirking. He actually, Fitzpatrick recognized it and not only wasn't bothered by it, but kind of in some of your eyes thought that he appreciated it a little bit. So those are some of the things we've been talking about. But if you want to answer the poll question, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. If you do not subscribe to X, then you can simply text us what your answer is. The brackets are out. We'll get to one of those questions of which one seed's going to get bounced first later in the week. Which one seed seems vulnerable? Certainly, I'll be interested when Duke's getting their players back because I don't see Duke having any problems in the first week. But beyond that, now one of the players is going to be gone for the second week. I think the other two will be back. But Duke had their hands full with Virginia, really good game. Had their hands full with Florida State, really good game. So Duke, even though they're the number one overall seed, winning their conference tournament, Michigan, they got bounced in their conference tournament. Arizona won their conference tournament. Florida lost their conference tournament in the semis. Some people chiming in that they think that St. John should have been ranked a little bit higher. So certainly questions to be answered about the brackets.
Jason Carmelo joining us right now. We appreciate Jason joining us over these last few weeks. The Big Underdog blog, also Bustin' Brackets. Follow Jason on X at Big Underdog blog. Top of the morning to you, and it's an hour earlier there than it is where we are. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody.
Well,
how did you do? How did you do? It seemed that most of you guys that do this for a living nailed it. One, did you nail it? And if you didn't, where did you think the mistake was, if there was one?
All right, we'll start 68 out of 68, so we'll take that. Every team, 56 out of 68 were on the seed line, and then there were 12 teams. So basically 6 flip-flops there was 1 seed off. So nothing was more than 1 seed off on my projection. A couple of the ones, so we'll take that. Every year we'll take that, right? But a couple of the ones that I didn't quite understand. I think the committee rewarded some of the teams for how they finished in the conference tournaments, which is very rare. But then they didn't reward some of the other teams. So, for example, if I'm Vanderbilt, how am I looking at a 5 seed with the quality of wins I've had all year after I just waxed Florida? Or if I'm St. John's, I ripped through UConn, but Arkansas, right, was rewarded. They probably went from a 5 to a 4. And overall body of work, Vanderbilt had a better resume than Arkansas. And then you also look at Purdue. Purdue was leaking oil at the regular season, and they were rewarded with a 2 seed while Michigan State got bumped down. Michigan State had a significantly better regular season than Purdue. And so there was a slight inconsistency there. Overall, the team selection made sense, but the rewarding of conference tournaments didn't quite make sense to me.
Well, and the committee chairman, Jason, for one of the rare times, I hope this guy's committee chairman for the next 10 years. He was very honest afterwards. He said, we did reward Arkansas and Purdue for what they did in the tournament while not addressing why it is they didn't reward Vandy and St. John's. And he said SMU was last team in, even though Miami of Ohio's metrics have them the worst at large, but that they had them in, and then he had NC State, Texas, and SMU but they're all in the play-in. Do you think they got it right?
I do. I was right there with NC State. I was one of the few bracketologists that had NC State on the 11 line. The more you looked at their body of work, I think it was very, very wobbly, especially at the end of the season. I had SMU as the last team in the field. I think they really did a good job with the team selection, and they were not going to set. We talked about this last week. They were not going to set a precedent of having an undefeated regular season team not miss the tournament, especially when Miami of Ohio played in a league where the automatic bid was a 12 type seed, and which was Akron. If they were playing in the SWAC or a conference that was a 16 seed bid type league, that's different. It's a quality league. They were undefeated. They had to let them in the tournament. And then on the flip side, they could not set a precedent that a 17 and 16 team made the NCAA tournament. They just couldn't do that because they would not be rewarding winning. And I think there'd be some backlash for both of those seedings.
You said something on our show when we first had you on that I've been talking about since you said it. And I think if you want to get a side gig other than the bracketology department, it is consulting with mid-major conferences because VCU was not going to get in unless they beat Dayton yesterday. And that makes me sick. And I understand the reasons why. But the thing that you said, if you don't remember, was these conferences need to have some flex scheduling. The A10, the Mountain West, the new Pac-12 when they come in, the West Coast Conference, the American, that they've got to figure out a way to play 1 versus 2, 1 versus 1, whatever the hell they need to do, because the big boys aren't going to play good mid to low majors. They just won't schedule them. We already saw the great article done on Miami of Ohio and all the teams they tried to schedule that told them no.
Yep.
I really think, Jason, if there's a side gig you want to get into, it's consulting these conferences. Because I could give a damn to see SMU or Texas or NC State in this tournament. I get that they deserve it, but largely, particularly when you look at a team like Texas, well, they end up deserving it because they're lucky enough to play in the SEC. I think something has to be done to not reward mediocre Power 4 teams anymore.
I completely agree. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to play each other, like we talked about. They're going to have to play each other. Now their schedule is going to be tougher, and they may not win as many games, but if they do, then they're going to make the tournament. If you watched Akron and Toledo Saturday night, I mean, those are wonderful basketball teams. Both of those teams, even Toledo made it as well. Both of those teams on a 12 line, if they get a couple cracks at it, could absolutely win NCAA tournament games. And so I really believe that. I believe that these teams have the capability to win NCAA tournament games, but they're going to have to yield and play each other. You mentioned Texas, guys. Texas was a worse version of Auburn. Auburn's resume was better than Texas. They just were 3 games over 500. They were 17 and 14. That's the only reason they made the tournament. If Auburn had lost, 1 or 2 less games, that's it. And so what the committee now has said, and the committee did a great job. So we don't mean to nitpick, but the committee said, schedule really hard, but you don't have to go too hard. Like, you don't have to go in the top 10. Because if you go in the top 10 and you get 15 or 16 losses, you won't make it. So now you're going to get even a little more wobbly non-conference scheduling from the major teams. And Texas has benefited the last 2 years. They've had this resume the last 2 years and gotten in both years. They're very fortunate.
All right. It's early. But have you taken a look and, is there a 1 seed in which you go, ooh, that's hard? Is there 5 through whatever seed that you go, I could see a run here. And most of us are struggling early, Jason, to find the traditional 5-12, 4-13 upsets for a variety of reasons.
Okay, can we do one in each region? We're ready for this. All right, let's go. Let's start in the East. St. John's is playing wonderful basketball, right? They ripped through the Big East like we talked about. But let's go with this. Let's go the 5-12 in the East. Let's go Northern Iowa over St. John's, and here's why. Northern Iowa has the 22nd best defense in the country, and they play at a pace that is 363 out of 365. They play at a snail's pace, which means they shorten the number of possessions, and they really, really guard. And if you can guard and kind of hang in there against St. John's will go stretches in that game where they'll struggle to score. Let's take Northern Iowa in the 12-5 game because they're going to limit the amount of possessions.
Okay.
If we go out west, I'm going to stay with the 12-5. I know everybody's seeing how good Wisconsin's playing. That's true. But High Point, like we talked about, they've won 22 out of 23 games. They're the 5th best team in the country at limiting if they commit turnovers and the 5th best team in the country at creating turnovers. They also play at a breakneck pace. So they play at a 49th pace in the country. So what you notice when you look at these trends is there's two things: senior guards, check, and you want to change the pace of the game. You either want to speed it up or slow it down, preferably slow it down. But High Point can create turnovers off that pace. So let's go Northern Iowa and High Point in the east and west. So if we go in the south, I actually really like Troy. Troy has shown that they can beat major teams. They've beaten San Diego State, they've beaten Akron, and they've beaten UAB. And Nebraska is going to be playing with pressure, especially late in the game, because they haven't won an NCAA tournament game before. I see the reaction.
Do you have a heart? Do you have a heart, Jason? Come on.
My responsibility is to give you and your listeners information. And I'm sorry. I love watching the Hoibergs play. It is a wonderful story. But they're playing a 13 seed that has beaten San Diego State, Akron, and UAB, and those are good teams. And that means Troy has some high major talent. And then finally, we talked about Akron. Texas Tech at times has struggled to score without JT Toppin. Akron is the 14th best three-point shooting team in the country. They generate a ton of turnovers. Akron is going to be a bear to deal with Texas Tech. That's going to be a tough game all the way through. So let's go Northern Iowa, High Point. I'm sorry. We'll go with Troy, and we'll go with Akron.
Oh, my goodness. I love it. All right. Obviously, the Gators are a 1. They're supposed to win. Miami's a 7. Tough game against Missouri. The other two Florida teams, UCF plays UCLA. That's playing a lot better right now. I love South Florida's defense. Yeah. They get Louisville. Which one has a better shot at winning their first game?
I really like South Florida's matchup against Louisville. South Florida is going to want to play at a good pace. And like you said, their defense, when you look at South Florida's metrics, they are right there with the big boys. One of the things that South Florida does is they take away your 2-point. You talk about the defense, Mark. They take away your 2-point shots. I mean, they're one of the best teams in the country at limiting 2-point easy shots. That's good. So Louisville's going to shoot a ton of threes, and we know Louisville can be very streaky with it. So if you catch Louisville on the right day when they shoot, 25 or 33% from three, if they don't get over that 35% barometer from three, South Florida's going to be right there in the end, and they very likely could win.
1 seed with the toughest draw in your estimation is?
I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Duke. I'm going to go with Duke. I think if Northern Iowa doesn't get St. John's, I think St. John's is a really tough matchup for Duke. I'm going to be bullish on Ohio State. I think an Ohio State-Duke game could be a really, really good game. Let's keep in mind if Ohio State can get past TCU, which is not an easy matchup for them, playing Bruce Thornton is not easy. And Ohio State has some very high-end, major caliber players. Mobley can get going from three. Bruce Thornton's one of the best guards in the country. If you haven't seen him, it's the first game on Thursday. Treat yourself with watching a little bit of Bruce Thornton because he's one of the best college basketball players. So I'm going to go with Duke. They got to deal with Ohio State, St. John's, and then either Michigan State or UConn.
Jason Carmelo, big underdog blog, also busting brackets. Okay. Hey, what will you do?
Right.
What, 30 seconds, what will you do from this point forward?
I'll do some writing about some of the matchups. So, go ahead and give me a follow. I'll meet with you guys whenever you guys ask me to, meet with some other people over the country, and just try to enjoy it a little bit. But we're pretty pumped about getting 68 out of 68. So,
well, congratulations. I mean, it's what you do for a living, so it's nice to nail it. Jason Carmelo, Big Underdog blog, and that's where you can follow him on X. Jason, be well. Congratulations. Miller and Moulton, Joe Henderson to talk South Florida next hour.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
EPA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, we're right there with you, South 7-Eleven. There is no doubt. That's my favorite new guest of the last year.
Mike, I'd lighten up. It was 6:45 in the morning where he is in Kansas City. Cut him some slack. Just everybody, I swear.
What's the matter now?
I don't know. Michael didn't like the fact he didn't laugh when we were trying to have some fun about Troy. I just sense everybody. I think I could do without this chat room.
Turn it off.
It's affecting me.
It's really easy. You see the arrow in the chat room, right? Like above right now where Mello Dunleavy just says hide panel. All you got to do is hit that. Really easy.
I may have to start.
I did it for a long time when I was getting attacked personally for hours on end during the show. Interesting take on the Buckeyes.
Well, especially if Duke's not going to be 100% for that second round game.
Right. That's the type of insight I'm looking for. I know you're not attacking us. You're attacking our guest who gets paid a lot to come on the show.
No, I mean, you are being honest. I just sense, honestly, I just sense we're all effing miserable. Seriously.
Good for the draft dinner in August.
I can't even imagine 5 months from now.
I don't even know what that is, Jake. I'm sorry.
He meant our, Dr. Roto.
Oh, fantasy? Probably. I doubt I will be able to go to that. Just based on what I'm reading and seeing, I don't think they want me in crowds. Really, it's going to be interesting of what I can do for the next 2 years. That's, I don't know the answer to that yet, to be honest with you, Jake. I'm learning as I go, my man. I appreciate your asking, but you have to think of me right now, providing everything goes well with the test I took Friday, like a baby. I have no immune system. I have to get every shot back. The results will be back between Friday and Tuesday. It is what it is. But I basically have, I have to get every immunization shot that we all got as children again. I start at 90 days and I go all the way through 2 years. Is how long that process takes. So it is what it is, man.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 3 of Miller and Moulton, final hour of the show in Southwest Florida, Port Charlotte, Venice, Live Oak Lake City, halfway home in Jacksonville and Tampa, St. Pete. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Joe Henderson, who covers University of South Florida sports. And man, what a great time it is to be a South Florida Bull. Football team had a terrific season. Men's and women's basketball teams, the baseball teams like 17-3. They got it going on, working on that new on-campus stadium. It's going to be a game changer for football. Everybody wants all their coaches. They're doing a lot right.
Great new dumpling restaurant up the road from campus. Oh, that's just me.
Can never go wrong with a great dumpling place, right?
I must say, it is, I've been, for those of you that don't know, and I don't know how you can if you listen to the show, but I was at Moffat for a few weeks, and now I'm next to Moffat while I'm going through my treatments. And it is, and I can't take advantage of all of the things, obviously, in the city, because I'm not really supposed to be in crowds. And I lie to my doctor occasionally because, like last night, I went out to dinner, and I probably shouldn't be in a restaurant with that many people, but I have to. I don't know what to tell you. And I did go out, took my mother to this dumpling place last week, and I went again last night. And it's, you lived close to a city. When you have all the ethnicity of a city, you have far more restaurant choices. And Southwest Florida is great for restaurants. It truly is. Fine dining is exceptional. There are a million great places to eat, but there's not great Chinese. There's, not a lot of choices when it comes to different ethnic food. So it's fun to be able to go to a place that I don't think there's anything like that where I live. So it was kind of nice. So I snuck out last night, had a little dinner with my wife, actually missed the majority of the selection show, actually missed the end of the golf. But that was a choice I made. I was more interested in making sure the South Florida Bulls won. That's what I was into yesterday. And good for the Bulls. Like I said, I feel badly because those kids came back last night and the campus is empty. It's spring break this week. So the place is, for the most part, dead this week. And it would be something that I think every kid, and I understand it's a different collegiate athlete today than it was not too long ago. But at the mid-major level, they don't get the same money that the big boys get. And when a team like South Florida, hell, we talked about how great their football team was this year. The basketball team achieved more greatness than the football team did.
Right. They closed the deal. The football team couldn't close it, and they had it. They controlled it late in the season, and they let it slip away. There's no question. Basketball team did not. First conference title in 36 years. Just their fourth time playing in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Wow. All right. Great for them. First time in 14 years. Awesome. All right. And I have a soft spot for Louisville. I do, because of my Jersey roots, and Denny Crum recruited Jersey very hard in the 80s, with Milt Wagner and Billy Thompson and Kevin Walls. And so Louisville was like my second team growing up. I have a soft spot for Louisville, but man, I am all in on South Florida against Louisville in a 6-11 matchup Thursday. And it's early, Mark. We don't have to, I think it's like the third game of the tournament.
Exactly. They're playing in Buffalo. That was the question. I mean, of all the questions we asked Jason, I was curious of yours, which 12, 13 seeds that he likes. And he likes Troy. I got a buddy from our kids play. Great guy. He's from Nebraska. He loves the Cornhuskers. He's got 4 kids, 3 boys. They are all in. His wife, her father was a defensive coordinator at the collegiate level and coached at a lot of great places. They are in. I mean, they are all into college sports, more than most people that I know, period. And his kids are of that age where they love to watch with dad. And it's a great time. And they are diehard Cornhuskers. They went to Nebraska to see a game this year in football. And he and I have been going back and forth during different games. And I'm like, well, you got to like your matchup. You better win one. And he said, love the matchup. So excited for the tournament. And I don't know if he was listening this morning. My guess is he wasn't. Because if he was and he heard that, he either drove off the road or would have cursed at me via a text. Speaking of which, the text line is always open. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. 21,000 is the number. If you've never texted before, you need to text the keyword Miller to 21,000 and then let it rip. We've got a poll question today. Did you watch the Oscars, the World Baseball Classic? Neither in a decisive lead. Thought it would be. But Jason Carmelo just on, likes Troy, likes South Florida more than UCF. South Florida's an 11, UCF is a 10. Miami's a 7. They play Missouri in Missouri. So all 3 of the Florida teams, not named the Florida Gators, have tough games. 2 of which will be underdogs. The Canes a slight favorite, I think 1.5 points. So 4 Florida teams in. The Gators obviously a 1. The rest a 7, a 10, and an 11.
All right. I think UCF got a miserable draw. UCLA, first off, he can coach. He's miserable. He gives great quotes after games, win or lose. Okay, when he decides to be funny, he's actually engaging McCronin, but he can really coach. Remember, it was just a few years ago, UCLA was in the play-in, and he took them all the way to the Final Four. Remember, it's UCLA. That's 4 and 5 stars. I mean, just, come on now. It's UCLA. He always is getting talent. It's just a matter of, will they play his style? Will they play hard enough? UCLA, the last 2 weeks of the year, probably played their best ball of the year. And Mark, I wonder, UCLA, UCF, I think it's a bad matchup for UCF. But the winner gets UConn. And UConn has not played their best ball here in the last 2 weeks. I mean, I actually think if you're in a 7-10 game, of all the 2s, I actually in the second round would want a shot at UConn of all the 2s. I think they're the most vulnerable of the 2s early in this tournament.
Funny. I think if Miami can get through Missouri, and I know Purdue just won the Big Ten title. I get it. But Purdue prior to the Big Ten tournament was also playing very mediocre. They were. So I think if the Canes can beat Missouri, I think the Canes can give Purdue all they want in that game. I really do.
Well, what a bad draw for the Canes. I mean, to play as close to a road game as you can play. I mean, they're playing Missouri and St. Louis, and Columbia is about 2 hours away. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? In a 7-10 matchup, the 10 seed's got the home game? You know, it's kind of like Gonzaga every year. They never seemingly, they got them in Oregon this year. Oh, wow. They really made them travel. I mean, just come on, guys. Do better. But just
I will say there's a bunch of 7-10 games. And those are toss-ups. UCLA far and away the biggest favorite at like 6.5. Kentucky gets Santa Clara. Santa Clara's pretty good. Big Blue Nation will lose their you-know-what if they lose to Santa Clara.
A lot of people jumping on Santa Clara in the first hours that the brackets came out. A lot of people jumping on Santa Clara in that 7-10 matchup.
And then the other flip side of it is the other game is another West Coast Conference SEC game, but it's the West Coast Conference with St. Mary's, the 7th seed against A&M. So just, some of the 7-10s, those should be really intriguing matchups. And you do get some smaller conference against bigger conference games where the smaller conference team has a real shot. But Jason Carmelo mentioned High Point. We've been talking about them for a couple of weeks. They were one of the low to mid majors to actually win their conference tournament. Liberty went down. Yale went down. A bunch of them, Miami of Ohio did, but still got in. So a bunch of these teams we were expecting to maybe be able to pull off a double-digit team upset in the tournament didn't even make the damn tournament. Wisconsin 9.5 over High Point. Jason Carmelo likes High Point. Brought up some excellent data there. Wisconsin, they live and die by the 3. They had Michigan for a good chunk of that game and made a great comeback. That kid from Australia can just stroke it. Wow, can he stroke it?
Okay. So listen, Jason Carmelo obviously knows a lot more than we do. But I'm supposed to take High Point on a neutral floor, straight up against Wisconsin. Do we have to remind ourselves of the road wins that Wisconsin has this year? And High Point's going to beat them on a neutral floor?
David, you're probably right. Let me just throw this at you. And I'm with you. It's in Oregon. Wisconsin's not going to have a lot of fans there. You know what happens in these games.
Uh-huh.
And I know Wisconsin wanted Illinois. They wanted Purdue. They wanted Michigan. Not taking anything away from them. But the thought of losing in your season being over is different. It just is.
I know. I get it. It's just tough for me to wrap my head around. I get it. We were all high on High Point. But can we just go, but is this just a bad draw?
I thought it was.
Because the other thing is, High Point likes to play really up-tempo. Help me out here. Didn't Wisconsin beat Purdue 97-93?
Yeah, this isn't your dad's Wisconsin team that loved to play games in the 50s. They have no problem. They would prefer to roll them out and play it, David.
I thought I saw, Mark, this is the highest scoring Wisconsin team since 71. I just don't think it's a good matchup for High Point.
I will say the other one, hey, if Northern Iowa gets St. John's, great. But that means you're getting Patino in the tournament. Good luck with that. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Not to be mean, SC, but did you watch the Wisconsin-Michigan game? Michigan won by 3. It was a hell of a game. Hell of a game. So I don't know how you don't think they look good. They beat them once and lost to them by 3. Who else played Michigan like that this year? Duke? They played Michigan the way they had to play Michigan. If you roll the balls out with Wisconsin and Michigan, Michigan will beat you. SC, come on now. I said that probably 4 times when describing them. That's who they are. You said they didn't look good. I mean, they lost a 3-point game to Michigan. I mean, Michigan's one of the 3 best teams in the country. It's inarguable. If they would have lost 80-77, would that have been better for you? I don't get that one. They're the 4th best 3-point shooting team in the country by percentage. They're the 35th best scoring team in the country. I mean, that's... And Michigan defensively is, I think, great. I think, and come on, for me to compliment Michigan, you listened to the show before, that's hard for me. By the way, the over-under of the Wisconsin-Michigan or Wisconsin High Point games, 165. So they're telling you that they're going to get, basically they're calling 85, 87. Oh, that's not right. That's just 160. Yeah, 87, 77 is what they're calling. Well, thank you, Michael. Big week, but big week when I get some test results back this week or early next week. We'll see. Hey. We thought you ran off with Sonny, Aurora. And by we, I mean me.
Wow, first Aurora, maybe Sonny. I'm back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Joe Henderson, who covers South Florida sports. That's the Bulls of South Florida. He will join us in a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X.
Can I go somewhere we haven't gone the entire show?
Yes.
The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
They, they were fortunate. They got to play the team that I root for, who's awful right now, a couple of nights ago to break a losing streak.
Right.
They got beat again by Carolina right after that. They've won 3 of their last 10. If Montreal wouldn't have lost last night, they would have been tied for second place in the division. They are much closer. And I know points-wise it's the same, and I know they have games in hand. I'm not talking about standings just for this moment. So you don't have to give me what the standings are because I've got them. But they are much closer to playing like a wild card team right now than they are to one of the elite teams in hockey. For the longest time, we took the 3 teams, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota, and clearly have them as the 3 best teams in the West. And I get it. Only one will come out of that division. One's going to have to play 2 good teams, more than likely, unless Colorado gets upset in the first round, which seems just highly unlikely. But right now, it's impossible at this moment in time, unless Tampa can figure something out. Hell, they can. There's 15 left. They can figure it out. But unless they do, I can't put them as one of the elite teams. It's Buffalo and it's Carolina right now. And Tampa can't beat Carolina. I mean, I get the pedigrees there. I get the coaches there. They're actually a tough team. I mean, they play a lot more like the Panthers of the last 2 years than the Lightning of the last 2 years, if you know what I mean. They have a lot more moxie to them. But defensively, they have not been good lately. I mean, good for them. They got to play the Red Wings, who can't score against. I mean, you could put an open net up against the Red Wings, and I don't know if they could get to 4. So they're having trouble scoring. They're giving up a decent amount of goals. I'm not worried yet. I'm not hitting the panic button.
Well, you sound it.
But it certainly seems like right now, put it this way. I think the Lightning have a lot better shot of finishing in third in the division than first, if you know what I mean. And by, games in hand and points, they're 4 back of Buffalo with 2 games in hand. They win them both, they'd be tied. I get it. But boy, oh boy, talk about, they talk about a team that peaked before the Olympics and hasn't been able to figure out after. Tampa Bay Lightning, they've got something to figure out here in the last, eighth of a mile to the finish line, if you know what I mean.
Well, there's no doubt that if the Lightning do not regroup and have a short playoff run, that they will be the poster child for, can we do this again in 4 years in the Olympics? Because the Lightning were 18-1-1 heading into the Olympics. And they're in the 10 games since the Olympics, they're 3-7. And I think they won their first game post the Olympics. So I think they've lost 7 of 9. Right. So, Mark, here's why I'm not as worried as you. And by the way, you sounded very worried. I know you tried to qualify it there at the end, but you sounded very worried. Here's why I'm not. Because John Cooper's not. And John Cooper at times has been worried. John Cooper was worried a couple weeks ago. John came out a few days ago and said, we're going to be fine. Just trust me on this. We're going to be fine. And we're also getting guys back and we're going to be okay. Here's why I'm not panicking about the Lightning. Vasilevsky. Now, you made a good point. John's probably going to have to make some really tough, painful decisions about who his best defensive defensemen are in certain situations. And does he keep riding certain horses because he's ridden those horses for 10 years? Or do I have to make an adjustment this year because they ain't riding as well as they used to? But Mark, I don't trust Buffalo's goalie. I don't. I don't. Okay. I don't trust Carolina's goalie. We can go right through this. Okay. At the end of the day, first off, I'll take Cooper in a best of 7. Okay. Over any other coach out there doing line changes and what have you. And at the end of the day, Vasilevsky has been as good as any goalie in the league this year. They're number 1 in the East in goals against. They're number 1 in the East in goal differential. They're having a rough 3 weeks post-Olympics. Okay, I have every confidence in the world, not that they're going to go back to 18-1-1, but I have every confidence in the world they'll get this together. Worst case scenario, Mark, Buffalo does win the division instead of them. They'll steamroll Montreal in a first-round series. I really believe that, okay? And I think that they'll beat Buffalo in 6 no matter what Buffalo does in the regular season. And it will – right now, I'd be very surprised if it's not Carolina and the Lightning in the conference finals. And, yes, Carolina gives them problems. Carolina causes their defense a lot of problems, puts a lot of pressure on them. But, Mark, you and I both know, I mean, the Tampa goalie making a big save in an Eastern Conference final or the Carolina goalies making big saves. And Carolina goalies don't do it.
You're right. But just since these 10 games, since the Olympic break, they've beaten Toronto twice and Detroit once.
Yep.
Toronto's miserable, and Detroit's going to choke their way out of the playoffs. So
they've got a
4-game West Coast swing here. They're on the road against 2 bad teams, 1 meh team, and Edmonton. I'll be curious what they do in these 4 games because they should win 3 of 4, David. They're better than the Kraken. They're far better than Calgary, and Vancouver's tanking.
Yeah. I mean, they can't be any worse than 2-1-1 on this trip. You're absolutely right. You're right. Everything you've said is 100% correct. I just don't have the concern because while there's a lot of fun stories in the East, I think once a month from now, then it gets serious. And then you look at the Lightning and you go, wow, how many teams in the East am I going to pick over this? I mean, they got 3 lines. They really do have 3 sets of defensemen if they're healthy. They got the best goalie who's going to be in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, maybe in the whole damn playoffs. I mean, am I really going to pick somebody to come out of the East if they're healthy? And they keep saying they're going to get guys back, and they're not necessarily back. But if they're healthy, Mark, I'm putting my money on the Lightning.
Okay. All right. I hate the way that they're playing right now. Your points are all valid. My only question that I would come back with, because I'm not going to argue about Vasilevsky. This is a Hall of Fame goaltender who I thought a month ago had the Vezina. I don't know if they're going to give it to him now. There are people that think because he had a bad first start of the season that that's going to cost him. I don't know. He should win the Vezina. I don't like the way they're playing defense right now at all. I don't like their defensive pairings, while good, are not playing good.
Agreed.
And defensively, their forwards are not playing good in the zone.
Yep.
They've got to figure out how to play defense as a team right now. It's more than just the defensive pairings.
Yep.
Their defensive play in their own zone has been questionable over these 10 games.
Yep.
That's the biggest problem to me. I'm with you on Cooper. They can figure it out, but they're not playing good team defense right now.
But I think that's very correctable. I do. Could be wrong, but I think it's very correctable. Joe Henderson next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No, Ambient, I don't want you to keep it to yourself. It's what the chat room's for. We just disagreed. That's all. We just, you had your opinion and we gave ours back to you. That, I'd cut him some slack. But whatever. Whatever.
A couple of tricks for you. We're going to do my medical stuff now.
Hey.
You want to guess my blood pressure? Give it a shot.
Ooh.
Haven't taken my pills yet. I'm supposed to do this before I take my pills. I'm going to go 132 over 80.
Oh my God. I was going to go 132 over 86.
Had a lot of coffee. I should do it before the show. Not as hyper. $128 over $68. We got a winner.
Okay. Hey, Rick. Rick.
Yes. Yeah.
So our guest said he has the link, but it doesn't seem to want to let him in.
Okay.
So he said, can you just call him?
Yep. Do it right now.
And now we'll take 16 pills at once.
Ooh.
Yummy. Really need to get that blood pressure segment sponsored. Yeah, pills and shots don't bother me. They just don't. Thank goodness. Now, some of them are small, but I think right now I'm at 29 pills a day. But that will go up because apparently the magnesium, they'll start making me take more and more. It doesn't bother me. The good part is, we only got a couple seconds, is the facial hair doesn't grow. Like, I've had to shave once in the last 2 weeks. It's fantastic.
Joe's ready.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour, and then it's the Diamond District bonus hour for Tampa, St. Pete, and Jacksonville. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Joe Henderson's kind enough to join us. He covers the Bulls of South Florida. For Green, Bold, and Gold, which is part of the Fansided Network, you can follow Joe on X, the letter J, Henderson Tampa, J, Henderson Tampa. Joe, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, just peachy. How about yourself?
Well, you should be. I mean, this is, these are great times, in South Florida athletics. How about it?
Well, it's only been about a little over 5,100 days since USF played in an NCAA tournament game. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool time.
Well, no doubt.
2
And
years ago was the last time.
wow. Wow, that's amazing. And look I was watching yesterday as concerned as I've ever been because I get nervous when a team's playing so well for so long, and one bad game and they're done. They're not in the tournament, which would have been a travesty, but that was the case with the American. The winner was in, no one else was. How impressed were you with their performance yesterday with everything on the line?
Well, I was very impressed, and it was kind of a back alley brawl type of game, very physical, very gritty, and they can do that. USF, if you want to get physical, they'll get physical. And you knew at some point Wes Ennis was going to heat up. He's their guard who, can sink a three from Miami to Tampa. And he did. He came alive in the second half. And when they got up by double digits, 10 points or so, I figured that they would take it on in, and they did.
Joe, what happened? This team, first off, they played a schedule that was a lot better. When you go back and now see how many of the teams they played in the first 6 weeks of the season who ended up winning their conference regular season or are in the NCAA tournament, it was a much saltier schedule than I think South Florida got credit for. But, they were okay. And then they played Alabama really tough in mid-December. And, Joe, they haven't lost in regulation since. What happened?
Well, what happened was it took a little while for everything to mesh. They only have one healthy returning player from last year. The rest are high school recruits and transfer portal guys. You throw in a new coaching staff, totally different style of play. They are go, 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 go from the start. And they were going to struggle early on. But it came together actually when Utah State came to Tampa in late December. And they were undefeated at the time. And they left defeated. USF beat them pretty good. And that told everybody that this was coming together. And so they started off a little rough in the conference schedule. They lost a double overtime game at home to UAB and later lost by 1 point in overtime to Wichita State. And you're going, well, I don't know about all this. Let's see how it's going to work out. Shortly after that, they went to Wichita State and beat them. And they have not lost since, I believe it was January 30th, 31st, something like that, the end of January. They've run off 11 wins in a row. They are legit. They really are.
What impressed me, and you mentioned the kid from Wichita there that can shoot the ball, but in the first half, they smothered him. And for a team, you look at their team stats, South Florida can roll the ball out and score. There's no doubt. They like to get up and down the court. Their pace is one of the top 10 in the country. But their defense, I don't know if it gets enough credit because I thought yesterday, particularly in the first half, but that whole game, you hold a team to under 60, you're playing defense. They can defend, can't they?
They really can. And Wes Ennis, he's a junior guard. He's the guy that scores a lot of points, and we give him, a lot of props for that. But he shut down Wichita's main guy yesterday, held him to 5 points. And he is in your grill from start to finish. And I've watched a lot of USF basketball over the years. I've either covered or just watched them for about 45 years. And Wes is one of the best USF players I've ever seen. He's tremendous.
Coaching, it started 3 years ago with Amir Abdul-Rahim, and then, of course, his tragic death. And then new AD brings in Brian Hodgson. And between the remembrance and legacy of Rahim and Hodgson, who was talked about kind of the way Florida's Golden was talked about when Florida hired him, that this is an up-and-coming rising star. it does seem as if this uprise here in the last 3 years, that two great young coaches are instrumental in it, aren't they?
Yes, and Amir Abdur-Rahim proved to everybody that you can win at South Florida. You can be competitive, compete for championships at South Florida, which is a bigger deal than you think, because for the longest time, USF was considered kind of a graveyard. Dick Vitale, no less, once called it the toughest job in the country. And I always believed that the resources were there to be a consistent winner in all sports, but particularly basketball. And what happened 2 years ago was that they won the regular season conference title, first time in school history. Then the unfortunate passing of Coach Amir, as we called him. And last year was a real struggle because this happened just before the season started. And Ben Fletcher was the interim head coach, and he really held it together. He did a magnificent job under the circumstances. But at the end of the year, the then athletic director, Michael Kelly, decided, no, we're going to go after somebody else. And that's where Hodgson comes in. Brings him in from Arkansas State, and everything just changed overnight. And now Hodgson's being mentioned for jobs all over the place. That's to be expected. A lot of people think he's going to go to Syracuse because he's from upstate New York. I hope he doesn't, but if he does, I'm confident that USF will be able to get another very good coach to come in, because you can win here. There are the resources for that. Great student support. It's really been a blast to watch them play this year.
Joe Henderson, who's covered the Tampa sports scene for a long time, he covers the South Florida Bulls for Green, Bold, and Gold, which is part of the Fansided Network. Follow Joe on X, the letter J, Henderson Tampa, the letter J, Henderson Tampa.
You mentioned the recruiting. You know, one of the things that David and I have noticed over the years is that Florida wasn't a basketball state 20 years ago for sure. Now it's one of the best states in the country. I don't think it doesn't get the support of an Indiana or whatever from an attendance standpoint, but there's really good high school basketball here. I know a lot of portal guys. How have they been able to assemble this roster with the combination of recruiting and the portal, Joe?
Well, the first thing that happened was that Hodgson brought in two guys with him from Arkansas State. Joseph was this outside shooter. He's tremendous. Isaiah Nelson was the conference player of the year, defensive player of the year, and newcomer of the year. Joseph Pinion can drain it from anywhere. And with those two guys as kind of the building blocks, he then assembled, he found Wes Ennis was a Division II player. He's a very good Division II player. He's an All-American. But you had to see, could he do it at the D1 level? Yes, he can. And for the rest of it, Hodgson said they had a particular blueprint of the type of player they wanted. And they brought in several guys from Canada and, assembled it that way. So what he's done was he has a very deep team, and he runs guys in and out all the time because they play at such a hard pace. And their practices are much tougher than their games. They get after it in practice. So he had to find guys who would buy into that vision, and he has done that. It's a blast. And, they've got a tough first-round matchup with Louisville. Louisville's a blue blood team. They're very good. A 6 seed, USF's an 11 seed, highest seed they've ever had in the tournament. But I have no doubt that they're going to hang with Louisville, and I won't be shocked if they send the Cards home.
Well, you sound confident that they'll handle the moment because, like, Louisville, when they have their act together, they go to the tournament every year. And I know teams change radically year to year now, but, Louisville's probably going to handle the moment. Sometimes the 11, 12, 13 seeds don't handle the moment. Are you confident that Hodgson, as a coach, will keep these guys as loose as they've been? Like you've mentioned, they've not only won 11 in a row, they've been dominant in most of these games. Do you think that South Florida shows up with their B+ or better game?
I have no doubt that they will. They have not shied away from the moment all year. You saw evidence of that yesterday when Wichita was making life difficult for them for a while. They just keep playing their game. They keep coming at you in waves. If one of those outside shooters heats up, which they will, they're going to be right there with Louisville for the duration. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say they're going to win or they're going to lose, but they will not be afraid of the moment. I can guarantee you that.
I know it sounds silly, but I've actually been on South Florida's campus for health reasons for about 6 weeks now. And it's spring break this week. So they're not going to be going to class getting pats on the back. Is that actually going to help them? Because it's going to be all basketball before they leave for Buffalo, right?
Well, yeah, but they leave tomorrow. So there's not going to be a lot of back patting at that point. They did. What was interesting was after the tournament game yesterday, the conference tournament, when they flew home, they got home a little, I guess, before midnight. There was a large crowd waiting for them at the airport, and they got their backpacks then. It's got everybody here excited. And, you mentioned you've been on the campus there. It's Amir Abdur-Rahim came up with the catchphrase that they use all the time at USF now. He said, "It ain't the same old South Florida, my brother." And it's not. It's an electric campus. It used to be known as the fallback school if you couldn't get into the University of Florida or Florida State. Now it's one of the prestigious academic institutions in the country, and it's darned hard to get accepted there. Their standards are very high, and more particularly on the athletic program, they are making massive investments in athletics. They really are. Everybody knows they're building an on-campus football stadium that will be open a year from now. Basketball, they've given their coaching staff every resource they need, and it's not just the glamour sports. They fully fund all of their sports and have got 21 varsity sports out there. So look out, world. Here comes USF. Get used to it.
And the baseball team, I think, is off to like a 17-3 start. So they have got it going on. Joe, very quickly, do you think the Hodgson rumors, whether it's Syracuse or Providence, do you think they're going to make their way into the room? Or is this group tight enough that, they'll deal with it whenever the season's over?
I think it's the latter. Right now, those guys aren't thinking about, is my coach going to go to Syracuse or Providence or, the LA Lakers? I don't know. And I'd tell you something else. A year ago, on the day before USF hired Hodgson, UNLV, air quotes, leaked it that he was going to coach the Running Rebels. And he did not. So nobody tells him what to do. And right. Just because all these plugged in sources are saying, oh, he's going to Syracuse because he's a New York guy. Well, let's wait and see.
Joe Henderson. He covers the Bulls of South Florida for Green, Bold, and Gold, part of the Fansided Network. And he will be in Buffalo when they take on Louisville on Thursday. Follow Joe on X, the letter J, Henderson Tampa, J, Henderson Tampa. Joe, thanks so much for joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
At the Diamond District, we have that one-of-a-kind ring that she's been dreaming of.
Whether you're beginning to think about proposing or already have something in mind, we're here to help.
Our sales team listens, educates, and guides you to the perfect engagement ring so you don't have to feel intimidated.
We guarantee that whatever you're looking for, you'll find it here.
So when it's time to pop the big question, come visit us, Jason and Todd, at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Aurora, that's funny. What's even funnier is that my son also feels the same way about Duke that I do. He lives in Greenville, North Carolina. He has recently started dating a gal, nothing serious, whatever. But the fact of the matter is she's a big Duke fan. He goes, we were talking on the phone the other night, and she was basically half talking to me, half watching the Duke Florida State game, and I'm quietly rooting against Duke. So serves him right. I think the runner-up will probably be Duke or Arizona, because I think Michigan's winning the whole damn thing. And I think the fact that Michigan lost to Duke will work to Michigan's advantage if they play them again. I do. I don't trust the Boilermakers. Sorry. You may be right. It's all a crapshoot. I think Miami could beat Purdue. And I don't know enough about the Zags to give you an opinion one way or another. I saw them play very early in the year. Oh, let me get up here. I think it'll be you know what? It will be a great tournament, because I think you're going to have a bunch of games in the first 2 rounds that are tight and the better teams will win. And then the second week should be all great teams. I'd fall over if Sparty got to the final. I would absolutely fall over.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. If you missed Jason Carmelo in our 7 a.m. Eastern hour, or Joe Henderson moments ago in our 8 a.m. Eastern hour, talking first brackets with Jason, and then specifically South Florida in the tournament for just the 4th time in school history. Well, make your way to millerandmoulton.com. At some point, we podcast every hour of the show, usually post it before lunch. And there you go. Jason and Joe and all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Big Saturday night in Tampa. It was one of those, you're in a city with things going on. Lightning playing a home game. Actually had a friend in town for like a big, his daughter was in a big volleyball thing at the convention center with hundreds of teams. And then the Zach Bryant show at Ray J. And I know you're not a Zach Bryant guy, and I don't know how much you know about him, but he's a pretty big country artist. And when you're playing Ray J, you're obviously pretty big. But he does the same song to finish every show. It's called Revival. It's a really cool song, and there's a little spot for a solo in there, and he brings a lot of people on. When he played in San Francisco before the Super Bowl, Christian McCaffrey actually played piano with them and did the piano solo, which was pretty damn cool. When he was in Tampa Saturday, he brought this guy up on stage to sing with him named Baker Mayfield. So that got a pretty good pop out of the crowd. Saw some video of that. Obviously, I can't go.
Right.
But that's I will say that's the, because I can't be in crowds. It stings. Here's the Lightning playing the Red Wings twice while I'm here.
Right.
Not only that concert, but Billy Strings is coming in like 2 weeks to where the Lightning play. I obviously can't go to that. It just reminds me of how much I miss living in a city. It really does. There's always something going on.
And also, unfortunately, the sacrifices you're having to make right now, although knock on wood, all right, the sacrifices could end up being spectacular.
Exactly. It's a small sacrifice in the grand scheme of things, But no, it's just it.
Sure.
I've lived in
Totally.
Southwest Florida for a long time. Before that, I actually lived in cities. I was in Nashville. I was in Atlanta. I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, although a smaller city, still a city. When tours came around, they all stopped in those places.
No,
There
no
were
doubt.
things to do on a nightly basis.
Yep.
In Southwest Florida, the only thing to do is watch the sidewalks roll up at 9 p.m.
There might be a few more things happening than when you and I first moved there, but I totally get it, man.
I mean, you're in
Totally get
Jacksonville.
it.
There's always something going on there. You've got concerts, you got and I'm not knocking the FGCUs and the Everblades who play down there, but that's not Tampa. I mean,
No,
Tampa's
but-
got big boy stuff
right.
going on. Jacksonville's got big boy stuff going on.
Right.
Not to mention nightlife and restaurants and things like that. So I've forgotten, because it's really been since I was in my young 20s in Atlanta, where I lived in a town that there was something to do every damn night.
Right. Yep. It's a nice adjustment to make when you get to make it. Can I just go on a quick sidebar for something
Sure.
that you mentioned? Baker Mayfield. Right now, the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now, obviously, we got 5 weeks till the draft. More guys can get cut. Some guys can still get signed. I get it. But a lot of work's been done. Where are the Bucks roster-wise in the NFC South? Because Carolina signed a bunch of guys. New Orleans has signed guys. Atlanta's made some moves, both losing and acquiring. Okay, I'm for a couple of years now. Okay, although there were some last year that thought Atlanta was better on paper. But I think if you were a Bucks fan, most of this decade, you have felt pretty comfortable about where your roster is in relationship to the rest of the division. How do you feel today?
David, I'm not trying to balk at the question, but I really think you could put three names in a hat and have Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay and pick them out, and you could pick any of them at this point. And the one thing that was pointed out to me last week when I made a similar comment, and I do think it's worth mentioning, now they weren't great teams, but one of them won the division, and it cost another one the division. The New Orleans Saints won 4 of their final 5 games. So how far behind are the Saints to the rest of what was a god-awful division? I mean, 3 8-9s and a 6-11. I don't, David, right now, if I were to pick, and I know you didn't like all the moves Carolina made, but it's hard for me not to pick the Carolina Panthers as the best team in the division.
Well, that's kind of why I asked the question, because I don't think, I mean, maybe this time last year, a few people liked Atlanta over Tampa Bay. And maybe at the very beginning of this decade, when Mr. Brady arrived, that first year, folks were still taking New Orleans over Tampa. And New Orleans did win the division that year. Tampa got the payback in the playoffs. But, I mean, this has been a 5+ year run here in which, for the most part, not only has the division gone through Tampa, but they've had the best roster for a 6-year period of time. So now, I mean, has the rest of the division, have they caught up? Have the Bucks regressed to the point? Because, you know, the other thing is, Mark, none of these teams had a winning record last year. My $20, who are you going to bet on to have a winning record this year? I know we don't have the schedules in front of us and crossovers and all that, but my $20 right now, who's going to have a winning record in the NFC South? And you got to be right. Other teams could also have a winning record, but my $20, that a team that you will bet on to have a winning record in the NFC South is?
Oh, I'll bet on Tampa Bay. I'll bet on Tampa Bay. And I do think Carolina is going to have to play a little tougher schedule than Tampa Bay because they won the division. I do think that's a factor.
Yeah, first versus second.
It's a slight factor. But the main reason I'm doing it, if you were to rank the quarterbacks in the division in order, find somebody that's not going to put Baker at 1. I mean,
be shocking.
Come on, you're really going to take Bryce Young? You're really going to take Penix? You're really going to take how the hell do you pronounce the kid's name in New Orleans?
Shuck.
Okay.
Now, Atlanta's quarterback could end up being Tua, but that's a whole other story.
Well, and again, then I might pick him last.
I got it. But, they had the best quarterback in the division last year, didn't win it. I'm just wondering how much do we like the rest of this roster in comparison to the roster edge that we think they've had for most of this decade.
By the way, crossover divisions, in case you were wondering, they play the NFC North and the AFC North. Could 8 and 9 win that division again?
Well, it has twice this decade. Tampa won it with 8 wins once, and now Carolina won it with 8 wins once. I mean, I think you have to go back, Mark, to the very early part of the decade. The Saints in 2020, I think, were like a 12, 13 win team. And then Tampa won the division in 21, and they were like an 11, 12 win team. But the last 4 seasons, nobody's had more than 10 wins to win the South. The last 4 years.
Your other crossovers, for instance, Carolina gets Philly. Well, Tampa gets Dallas. Carolina gets Denver. Tampa gets the Chargers. And Carolina gets Seattle. That means Tampa gets the LA Rams. So those 3 games for both are extremely difficult. You would say they're edge Falcons, right?
Because of who they get?
Well, they'll get San Francisco. They'll get Kansas City, but they'll get Washington, right? They finished in 3rd. Your Giants finished in last.
Correct.
So edge Atlanta. Who's the best offensive player in the division? I would probably lean the guy that runs the ball in Atlanta.
Oh, I don't think there's a debate.
So very, very interesting when you bring that up.
Yeah. Also, we touched upon it a little bit last week. Are we sure this group is still all in with the coach? I mean, a couple of guys have left and have gone out of their way to say, yeah, I left because we couldn't win a Super Bowl there.
By the way, outside of division games for Tampa, and I'll give them the edge in the Chargers. You tell me which of these games Tampa's going to have more fans than the opposition. Green Bay, Minnesota, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. I mean, those are 4 monster northern fan bases that will invade Ray J. Invade Ray J. And think of the number of terrible towels that are going to be there. Cheeseheads, Viking fan, even Browns fan. There's a million of those down here.
Yeah.
A million.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. Uh-huh. And we don't even know what the record of the Bucs is going to be when they're hosting those games.
Right.
Because God forbid they're or worse. So just curious, Bucs fan, even non-Bucs fan, right now, the roster you like best in the NFC South. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when it's all 25 minutes away.
American Paint
Let's
Supply.
talk the big
PA Commissioner
differences.
Adam
Whoa.
Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies. For nearly 30 years is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Don't know what happened there. All my spots. That was weird.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. All coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, not super serious or intense, very casual. Curious last night. What'd you watch? Oscars, World Baseball Classic? None of the above.
David, your Oscars getting 3% of the vote.
Now, hold on. I actually voted World Baseball Classic because I said I watched both, but I watched the World Baseball Classic longer. I always, apparently, I don't know. People hate Hollywood, so if you watch the Oscars, you're a bad human being. I don't get it. I don't care. I always will watch the first half hour of the Oscars. Always. I just want to see, the monologue, whoever the host is, and the first award, and, take it from there. I usually don't watch much more than that, but I always watch the first half hour. The Oscars airs at 7 Eastern. Okay, usually if there's a game or what have you, I got time. So I watch it. Always will.
I usually, if ever, watch any part of it. I'm with you. I can watch the monologue, but usually it's my wife that drags me down to the half hour before it starts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the pretty people.
The red carpet. The
Totally.
hour to half hour before, because the wife wants to watch the pretty people in their dresses. That's just a fact.
Jesse Palmer working the red carpet. He was one of the main two. Jesse Palmer, think about the career he's put together. Okay, branching out away from sports. He's doing cooking shows. He's got like hardware commercials.
Doesn't he do the rooms to go? He did the rooms to go for a while. I've not even seen the hardware. I knew he did the rooms to go.
And now he was working the red carpet of the Oscars. All right. So I will say he was standing next to, sure he was. Well, a couple of beautiful actresses, but Keith Urban's soon-to-be ex, and Tom Cruise's ex. So he's standing next to Nicole Kidman.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You just glossed over the fact that I got an actress's name right on this show.
I know.
Sure, she hasn't really been relevant in 20, 30 years, but I got her name right.
She's as old as you, though, so I don't get me wrong. I give you a lot of credit, but not as much credit as I think you want. Okay, but I kind of elbowed my wife, and I go, okay, who's prettier? Okay, and she puts a smile on her face, and I go, Nicole's beautiful. She's had some work done. She looks great tonight. Okay, but look at Jesse Palmer there. Okay, I mean, come on, that's like mid to late 40s right there. He's, he purdy. Okay, look at him.
So I didn't watch any of it. I did watch a couple of clips online, and I saw the Diane Keaton tribute, and it was very nicely done. And I know there's one for Rob Reiner, and I've not seen it. I'll watch it at some point today. But I did see pictures of it, and all the guys from Spinal Tap were up there. All the people from not all the people, but some of the people from A Few Good Men were up there because Cruise and Nicholson were not on the stage. But anyhow, they did obviously a wonderful tribute, to the late Rob Reiner. And you warned me of this because I don't pay attention to Hollywood. Movies. I've never been someone who went to a lot of movies. I'll watch them when they're on, an HBO or a Netflix or something like that occasionally, but very rarely. I just don't. It's just not my thing. And particularly since I've been doing sports talk radio, I'd rather watch shows than movies. That's just what I do. Because one, I think they're better. But when they showed Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan.
Yep.
And I saw the picture of it today. And in Hollywood terms, Meg Ryan she would have been on the list. David and I have talked about the list for years. The 5 people you could cheat on your spouse with that you just get a pass because they're celebrities and you'd only get one shot and it's okay. And Meg Ryan was always on my list. And David, when I said that, I don't know, 5 years ago, he went, "Have you seen her lately?" And I hadn't. So I'm looking at a collage of pictures from the tribute to Rob Reiner, and it's Billy Crystal and it's Meg Ryan. Good gracious. That's work gone bad.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
That's the chick from 90210 that had all the work done, and you go, what the hell happened?
That's whoa, we need to stop here. Can we reverse any of this?
Yeah.
No, don't try to. No. You need to cut your losses right now. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that one, you were right. You told me, but I hadn't seen her in forever. And I went,
understand.
Goodness gracious.
I understand. But Kathy Bates was on stage because of Misery. Okay. Billy Crystal had a good line. We did, what was the name of the movie he did with Meg Ryan?
When Harry Met Sally.
When Harry Met Sally. And he goes, so, he does this, rom-com, and everybody, wants to smile and fall in love. And so, of course, Rob followed it up with Misery. Right.
It is amazing when you go through the films that he did.
Oh, the 8. And they focused on 8 from Spinal Tap right on through, and remarkable. And how different they were.
And, Rich Eisen gets great Hollywood guests, and Kevin Pollak tells a story of Reiner when they're doing the read through. And apparently Reiner, as a director, did something that most actors don't like. And he does the lines over. And actors don't like being read the lines by the director, how the director would do them. And it's the read through for A Few Good Men. And it's the only time they're there, the first time they're there together. And Pollak says Nicholson does the monologue that we all know, basically 90% of what you see in the movie. The whole "you can't handle the truth, you want me on that wall" thing. And so after it, Reiner starts going through it with Jack, and that he loves it, but he can't help himself, and he's doing all of the lines, of which at this point, Cruise and Demi Moore and Kevin Pollak are all elbowing one another. Like, do you believe this is going on right now?
He's reading Jack's lines
to Jack Nicholson.
Correct.
And he finishes, and Jack looks up at him and says, "Well, maybe I'm just not there yet." And Pollak can imitate Nicholson perfectly. I guess so much so that Pollak was doing Nicholson in, the shots when Nicholson's not there, when it's Cruise. Pollak would go up and do Nicholson because he could imitate the voice perfectly. So I will say, if you get the chance, the Kevin Pollak on Rich Eisen, the stories he tells are glorious. Absolutely glorious.
And he said Jack nailed that whole monologue first take. Boom, done. And then Rob Reiner's like, and Jack's like, well, do you want me to do it while you could then get your cameras on Kevin Bacon and on Tom Cruise and on Demi and get your, oh, yeah. Could you do it again? And I'll just do the other. And according to Kevin Pollak, Nicholson nails it a second time, a third time, a fourth time. And I guess it's like not even lunch. And Rob thought we'd spend a full day on this at least, if not more. And Rob Reiner ends up letting everybody go for lunch for the day because Jack was so good.
So I definitely will check out the homage they did to Rob Reiner last night on the Oscars. It is our poll question. What did you watch last night? The Oscars, the World Baseball Classic, or neither? David, you should be happy. The World Baseball Classic is slowly closing in on neither.
There we go. Now we're talking USA in the finals, baby.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea, and by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Computer's being sensitive to me this morning. Not firing the spots. I caught the pregame, JS. Whew, telling you. Don't know what I would have done without it. And Woody won. We already talked about it, JS. I know you can't catch all the show. I get it. I understand. And I'm aware, Michael, that we beat Canada in the Paralympics. I don't watch any of that, but good for them. That's fantastic. Not going to knock any of them, obviously. It's just not something that I pay any attention to. But I did see online that we beat Canada in hockey, which is amusing. Got that right, guys. I gotta say, you can, maybe you're not dead, but it might just be a comment, but I do think it's funny. I find it very interesting. I can kind of tell which of you are still on cable and which of you have cut the cord, because once you've cut the cord, networks don't matter anymore, at least with YouTube TV. And I shouldn't say that with everything, but I don't know what network I'm watching. I don't care. The games just pop on and I put them on. It doesn't matter. I will say, being up into the only thing that sucks about being in Tampa is that the Lightning games are blacked out on Plus, where they're not in a stereo.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The home stretch of the Diamond District bonus hour on this Monday. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Poll question: what'd you watch last night? Oscars, World Baseball Classic, or no, man, I don't watch either. So let us know.
I will say quickly before we get to this stuff, did you have a problem with Smoltz last night? People were all over John Smoltz and his, I guess, negativity. Well, I did not pick the game up until late, but when he, apparently he openly talked about Skeens now needing, I hope he doesn't have to get Tommy John, and people lost their minds over that comment. And
that does seem inappropriate. I mean, has he ever missed a start because of an injury? He went 4 1/3 innings through 71 pitches. You think that's going to cause Tommy John surgery? I mean,
I will say, to Seth's defense, and I didn't hear the pitches that these guys had to throw last night. I'm watching Bednar, the reliever for the U.S. team. He's in some difficult. I mean, he had to make some pitches. Those were emotional, tough pitches. It was great theater. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was great theater. 2 on, 2 out, having to strike out Tatis. That's big time stuff. But you have to at least acknowledge that these are far tougher pitches. And stressful pitches than they would be throwing in a spring training game.
No doubt. But they'd also, Skeens would not be throwing 71 pitches a week and a half before opening day if he was in Bradenton. He'd be throwing 85 to 90. Okay. I mean, so, they're accommodating for it. But yeah, for him to openly talk about Skeens, boy, I hope he's not going to need Tommy John surgery. Dude, I don't know. Have another drink or just relax, lighten up, something.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Not a lot today, but I think you'll like it nonetheless. We start in 1802. The United States Military Academy, West Point, open. Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter was published today in 1850. The Senate ratifies the Geneva Convention today in 1882. The Geneva Convention of 1864. It took them a while.
Just a bit.
But basically legitimized the International Red Cross and the American Red Cross. All right, I had to look this up. Because today in 1900, the Western League got a new name. Ban Johnson renamed it the American League. The White Stockings, the Washington Senators, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Detroit Tigers, the Cleveland Blues, the Boston Americans, the Philadelphia Athletics, and the Baltimore Orioles. It would be in 1901, for the record, that it declared himself a major league. And in 1903, they made peace with the National League, and they started playing this little thing called the World Series. Today in 1955, Clarence Campbell, the NHL president, suspends Rocket Richard for the remainder of the season after he viciously attacked an opponent. It wasn't a big deal or anything. Riots ensued in Montreal.
Riots. Right. Uh-huh. I got to admit, for, supposedly how nice they are and what have you, when it comes to hockey, nobody burns and trashes cars and riots in the streets like Canadians.
Well, I mean, first off, that's French Canadians. That's a whole different level of Canadian, but they did it in Vancouver as well.
Right, and they've done it twice in Vancouver. Right. 15 years apart.
Today in 64, Packers Paul Hornman and Lions Alex Karras are reinstated into the NFL after a 1-year suspension for betting on football games.
Paul Horning's line is still the best. Okay, did you bet on games? Yeah. Why? Because we were good.
Today in 68, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay hits #1, becoming the first ever posthumous #1 hit. Redding died in December of 67. It was today in 68 that it hit #1. Supertramp's breakout album, Breakfast in America, released today in 79. Tanya Harding admitted what we all knew today in 94, that she pleaded guilty to a felony attack on Nancy Kerrigan. And David Moulton got a raise today in 2022. Oh, I'm sorry. Today in 2022, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman left Fox to join ESPN.
Yes, I did.
Been waiting since yesterday morning to throw that line out, David.
Yes, I did.
James Madison, kind of a biggie in, America. Henny Youngman, Take My Wife, Please. Jerry Lewis, big in telethons. Howard Schellenberger, big in South Florida. And Chuck Woolery, back in 2 and 2, would have all celebrated birthdays today. Nancy Wilson from Heart is 72. Ozzie Newsome is 70. Flavor Flav of Public Enemy is 67 years old today. Curtis Granderson, 45. I didn't realize how long he played in the league. He played a lot of seasons in Major League Baseball. Blake Griffin is 37. What's the answer to the question, David?
Kevin Durant.
Thank you very much. Joel Embiid is 32. Vlad Guerrero Jr., 27. And Kyle Hamilton is 25. What did I miss, David?
I don't think you've missed anything, really. I did get a raise, but I also lost out on 2 Super Bowls.
You worked a Super Bowl at that point already. You're working one this year. I think you'll take the raise.
You're probably right, but I immediately.
Boy, you're a greedy SOB.
Well, see, here's the problem. Troy's got, 3 rings and 3 Lombardis in his office, and he's broadcast like 6 or 7 of them with Joe. They've all done a bunch of them. Joe's spotters have all done a bunch of them because of Joe. Not me. They'd won. And then they leave, and I'm like, what do you mean we're leaving? We're doing the Super Bowl this year, and then we're doing it 2 years later. They're like, no, man, we're gone. I'm like, when are we doing the Super Bowl? They're like, 5 years. What?
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
This is a great good to me because you see those. You've all been to a bar where it says free beer tomorrow. Well, this restaurant in Mobile, Alabama, Winsel's Oyster House, has had a sign in their restaurant for decades that says free oysters to any man 80 years old, accompanied by his father. Well, Jimmy Rush just turned 80, and he went to the Oyster House for his birthday dinner with his father, Jim, who was 99.
Oh, wow.
And give it up to the oyster house. They got free oysters. That's fantastic. And literally, apparently, the Rush family knew about this. They'd been going to this place for years. And as he was closing in on 80, he's like, God, I need Dad to make it. We need to go there. We need to go there. And they did. I love it. For the bad, we go to Washington State, where a 21-year-old woman lost control of her vehicle and landed in a ditch. She stunk like booze. The car stunk like booze. But she maintained that she had not been drinking. Did I say the car was in a ditch?
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, a judge granted a search warrant over the phone for a blood draw, so she had to go to the hospital and give blood because she refused to do any tests on set. Finally, the ugly that actually ends up being good, but I had to get the story. Faithfuls, I don't know. F-A-Y-C-A-L, I have no idea how you pronounce the name. Mans, Mr. Mans is a German. He was on vacation in New York in 2024. He ordered 3 tacos, and he put hefty portions of salsa on the 3 tacos. He then sued the taco joint because the salsa was too spicy. Fortunately, a judge, Dale Ho, said the logic of parallel cases applies here, citing that Mexican food, including salsa, is, wait for it, generally spicy. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, March the 16th, here on Miller and Moulton, it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Cape Coral Police Department offering great pay, new jobs, signing bonuses. So for those of you in Tampa and Jacksonville that want to move to Cape Coral, go to capecops.com. capecops.com.
Did you see the story recently? Man and woman go on a first date. Woman shows up 20 minutes late, orders 2 lobster tails, a $200 bottle of wine. 20 minutes later, gets a phone call. Okay. And she goes and takes it, comes back and says, I have an emergency. I have to go. And the guy gets stuck with an $874 tab. Well, he sued her because also he thought they'd have a second date or what have you. And she cut off all communications. So he sued her and won. And in fact, the judge threw $500 on top of it.
Good for him.
Yep.
Good for the judge.
Yep.
By the way, it's a honorable mention for the good. The Mucky Duck on Captiva reopened over the weekend. They'd been closed since Ian.
Oh, wow.
So good for them. It's a legendary place on Captiva. For any of you Tampa or Jacksonville people that are going to Captiva or Sanibel, it's basically a must try. So congratulations on your reopening.
5 games in the NHL. ESPN has the doubleheader. Bruins Devils early, Penguins Avs late, 7 and 9:30. No college basketball tonight, obviously. First 4 begins tomorrow in Dayton. NBA 8 games tonight. Peacock and the NBC Sports Network, the double dip. The early games, Orlando and Atlanta. There are 2 late games listed. I don't know if this has to do with where you live or what, but Lakers Houston at 9:30, Spurs Clippers at 10. The Hawks and the Clippers have both been red hot, both making big runs to not be in the play-in. Still got a ways to go, but Mark, one other basketball note, it's just come in. So Shams saying a week from tomorrow, NBA is going to have their Board of Governors meetings. And they're going to vote on Vegas and Seattle and whether or not they're going to be expansion teams. And the idea is that they would start in the fall of 28. So we would do 2 more seasons with 30 teams, and then the league would be at 32 teams with Vegas and Seattle added come the fall of 28, which then somebody's got to move. And do they do radical realignment? Whatever. But anyway,
well, don't you think that Silver doesn't want this, but the owners are telling him, I want the money?
Well, because now they think the bids per team, this is crazy because this is NFL team money. Okay. But the NBA owners think that they could get like $7 billion now for these teams. I just think that that's absurd. But then again, it's expansion, make sure you're the winning bid. I mean, the NBA may never expand again. This could be last chance for
but
a
even
city.
if it's 5, David, that's $10 billion to split up between 30 owners. I mean,
correct. Right.
Do the math. I mean, I don't think Silver wants this. I think the owners do. That's my point.
Huh. Sounds a lot like baseball. So anyway, that's what Shams is reporting this morning.
Pens and Lanch tonight. Pretty good hockey game. See if Pittsburgh can measure up against one of the big boys. They've been over their skis all year.
Well, and you are
must
hosting
win.
Calgary.
Must win.
Yes. Wings need 2 points out of tonight. No question. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Diamond District. We have that one-of-a-kind ring that she's been dreaming of.
Whether you're beginning to think about proposing or already have something in mind, we're here to help.
Our sales team listens, educates, and guides you to the perfect engagement ring so you don't have to feel intimidated.
We guarantee that whatever you're looking for, you'll find it here.
So when it's time to pop the big question, come visit us, Jason and Todd, at the Diamond District.
At the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thanks, Rick. Talk to you tomorrow, buddy.
You got it, Mark. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, bud.